Okay, so welcome everybody. This is session one. We had a session last week, session zero technically, for Girl by Moonlight. And we are playing, in particular, the playset of In a Maze of Dreams. So Girl by Moonlight is still in playtesting. It's created by Andrew Gillis. I got the playtest packet through EvoHat by signing up for the playtest. So whatever we're playing today, it might not reflect on the final game. Also, I do have experience running Forward to the Dark, but I tend to play it more loosey-goosey. So please keep that in mind. I'm kind of allergic to clocks, if I'm going to be honest. I tend to not use clocks in combat and such. But there we are. So Girl by Moonlight's really interesting. It is a magical girl game. It's also a multi-genre game. So you do have a playset that can cater to Sailor Moon. You have another one that involves mechs, like Magic Knight Rayearth and such. This one is closer to Paprika, Zero Experiments Lane. Really weird, really interesting. It's really pushing along the magical girl transformation idea, which I love. So, and I'm joined by three very awesome players. We're going to, before we get into introductions of everybody, I will set the stage for the kind of world that we have. So what the group created together is the conspiracy and the waking world. So to summarize, we have a history that's haunting the present. So there's a constant push towards progress, but it's at the detriment of covering up crimes and sins from the past. So we are in this strange, vaguely unnamed Southeast Asian city-esque place. In my mind, I sort of see the Psychopaths city, so nothing too specific. This is open to change, of course. And in this place, it's full of, there's media saturation. We can see screens everywhere. Everyone is always on their phones. There are different ways to connect. But there is very little privacy. There is a lot of influence over how people think and perceive the world. There are also all these strange statues all over the city, these edifices to histories that are flattened, that don't show their nuance, that don't take into account different perspectives. But the eerie thing about these statues is that they sort of shift and change. And some people who go missing show up as statues later. So Girl by Moonlight assumes that we're starting in the second season. In our first season, we had one of our poor girls get caught up in the conspiracy and is now a statue somewhere. So we'll probably find out more about that later. So our three characters, they are dream walkers. They go into the dream world to stop the conspiracy or to keep it at bay. And in order to do this, they take on their avatars. They transcend, right? And these avatars, they are aspects of the girl that contradicts who they are sometimes, but it's very alien to them, but still holds a truth about their personalities and their desires. So I'm really excited to get into that. And yeah, so I think, and just as a little bit more of a setting, the girls have just finished high school. We're not sure if they're headed to college. This is that strange summer in between. Okay, did I miss anything important? Okay, very cool, very cool. All right, so we'll go with introductions. We'll go in character keeper order, if that's okay. Jesse, do you feel like you're ready to start? Okay, so Jesse, introduce yourself and your character, please.
Hi, I'm Jesse. My pronouns are he, him. And I am playing Iha, whose pronouns are she, her. Iha is Iha is a sort of South Asian, and she's small. She dresses very conservatively. Her family owns a temp agency, which she works for. And on the mundane side of her life, she's kind of trying to figure out, okay, am I going to am I going to start university in the fall? Am I going to go to the city college? Am I just going to work? Her family very much does want her to go to school, but they're not going to, kick her out of the family business if she doesn't. So she knows she has something to sort of fall back on. Her avatar is named Faustina, and she sort of she wears she's the Enigma playbook I didn't mention. She wears a sort of a domino mask with little horns and tears like a demon mask down on her face. I still haven't quite figured out what the costume looks like. I spent like a while looking around. I haven't come up with something I'm really happy with yet. I'm going to keep thinking about it. Maybe in play, I'll suddenly. I feel like there's a lot of fabric, and things that go swish as she turns very quickly. But beyond that, I'm not quite sure. She's in the weary caretaker role for the group. I think the idea is she sort of is like always looking out for them. Her promise to Rowan is, "Don't worry, I'll protect you. I can't tell you how." And she has I think from the group's perspective, she's only mundane, although she does appear in dreams. And her sort of transcendent aspect is secret, and I think it's because she got her power, her transcendent power, from making a deal with a demon. Although only Faustina knows this, and Iha doesn't know, prefers not to think about it. It's not like in the forefront of her mind. And that is Iha. Should I talk about mechanical things like moves and stuff, or?
That's a good question. Yeah, I guess just which abilities you chose. That's a good idea.
Yeah, so I took Working from the Shadows. When you secretly set up another character's action, roll +1d. If they succeed, mark experience. And my Transcendent move I took was the Big Reveal. When you transcend, you may disappear and then reappear later where you choose. When you surprise your enemies, you or your allies gain increased effect on any follow-up or actions.
Awesome. Yeah, so...
And sorry, just a question. So we ended up, at least I only took one promise, because we were expecting another player today. So I don't know exactly what, but we should, at some point I'm going to fill in that project promise, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was thinking it could come up, because we do downtime actions first.
Great.
For Go by Moonlight. So yeah, but good question. You can already start thinking about it. We can slot in that extra promise. So this is going to be really a tight-knit group because there are like 3 of you and 2 promises. So things are intense. I like it. All right. So, Jesse, did you talk about the transcendent ability? I can't remember.
I did, but I also forgot to mention, in mundane life, I have very short hair. Like, not very short hair, but somewhat short hair. I like sort of chin length page boy kind of cut. And when along with the swishy swirling clothes, I also have much more hair on my head that swishes around when I turn, is easily flipped in different directions.
Yeah, it explains why the other girls don't recognize you or think you're the same person, right? So makes sense. All right, and then so next in the character keeper, we have our unlikely hero.
Hi, yeah, my name's David. I use he, him pronouns, and today I'm playing Rowan, who uses she, her pronouns. So yeah, Rowan is, well, I was going to say Rowan is a young girl, but we're all young girls, so that's somewhat redundant. But yeah, Rowan is, she comes from she's the oldest child in a fairly large family. I think she's maybe got like say three siblings, all younger than her. Her mum is a single working mum, so she takes on a fair amount of the sort of care responsibilities in the house as well. she kind of was one of those students that did sort of okay in school, probably could have done better, but was always just a bit distracted and never as into it as maybe her teachers would have liked her to be. Yeah, she's white, possibly of Celtic descent. She has that quite very pale skin, long red hair. Tends to dress just in sort of fairly simple kind of jeans and a top sort of thing. Nothing particularly outstanding. She what else did we have? Yes, so in terms of her promises, the one that we've got on the table so far is that she's promised Isolde that they'll always be friends, no matter what. Rowan is in the Unlikely Hero playbook. So what this means is her kind of core ability from that, and what's kind of defining her role as a hero, I suppose, is the Only Mortal move, which means that you cannot transcend or use special armor. I get an extra downtime activity and extra bonuses when making social links with people. When if I save one of my friends from fatal harm or severe consequences, I can lose that move and take another move that actually lets me access my transcended form. But yeah, so basically up until that point, I am not able to transcend. I'm still able to enter sort of the dream world, but I enter the dream world just as myself rather than as a sort of iconic version. The other ability I've taken is Worth Saving, which basically means that if I get myself into trouble, I get to mark experience, and my allies roll an extra dice when they come to protect me from the consequences of my actions. So that should be fun. The avatar, my avatar, which, as I said, isn't sort of manifest yet, but is kind of lurking under the surface, is Minerva. Minerva is a has the virtue of bright and the impulse of imperious. They are, quite powerful and inspiring, but controlling as well. A previous incarnation of Minerva was actually one of the powers behind establishing the conspiracy in the first place. Hints of which I think have been teased out in the previous series. Yeah, I think that's Rowan.
Yeah, very cool. I'm so excited to see when that reveal is. But as we play, like, whatever feels best, if you don't feel like hitting that other move, it'd still be fine, I think. So yeah, and last but not least, our heartbreaking time traveler.
Yeah, I'm Maria. I use she, her pronouns, and I will be playing Isolde, our time traveler who uses she, they pronouns. So Isolde is our time traveler. I'm kind of imagining that they're from like an alternate timeline. And it's hard to think about time travel in real life at like 4 a.m, but basically they're here to try and keep a dark fate from happening to their fated person, which in this case is Rowan. And basically, I think Isolde has just graduated high school, works for their grandmother in a tea shop, who may be an older, like, alternate version of themselves. And is kind of like also not really concerned with, surprisingly, the future in terms of like going to college or anything, and is more kind of concerned with, how do I keep the conspiracy from like taking over Rowan, or how do I keep Rowan from being like subsumed by the conspiracy? And this has all been complicated by, I was talking to David a little bit earlier last week, and it was like, so I think that Isolde has had a crush on Rowan for like throughout high school, and in the way that like when you think intense thoughts about a person, sometimes you dream about them, and like maybe Isolde like came to the point where she was like, oh hey Rowan, I kind of like you, but like intense thoughts, and then like that's how sort of she discovered that Rowan is our unlikely hero, or that is how she discovered that Rowan was her fated person, that this is the person that they have to keep from having this dark fate happen. So let's see, their parents are like somewhat distant. I think we established that her mother works at like a PR slash textbook publishing firm that may be involved in the conspiracy somehow, potentially. Her promise is that they won't fall in love with Rowan because that would set off like this dark future, which is lots of fun. Rowan, let's see, I wrote notes to myself. So they are very tall, very pale, from like an East Asian background with spiky dark purple hair, and has got this like romantic poet style going on with like a high lace collar and flowy white shirt. In the mundane world, because of course you have to work at a tea shop and have an aesthetic. In their transcended form, I looked up a picture. I was imagining something like badly Elizabethan with like a ruff. I will put a link in the chat if I can find it. Too many tabs. Windows. So it's kind of like a mildly cool, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a all white costume with like a weird ruff. And yeah, it's hard to describe what exists.
Yeah, I love it so much though. Yeah, it's like a dream. It's like if a ruff could have a dream, that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Explosion.
I'm picturing it kind of like, I mean, I'd say it's almost kind of like Goth Midsummer Night's Dream kind of.
Yeah.
But you know, no black, all white.
Yeah. So I'll have to come up with ways to describe this because my mind can't just handle words right now. But I think that moves. Right. I have taken the move Oracle, so I can see because I am a time traveler, I can see all the different timelines leading from the past to the future and can gather information. And that helps me with that. And then my move when I'm transcended is Lost Cause. So once per transcendence, if there's an ally that suffers a severe consequence, I can just abandon the timeline. And there are consequences for that. But it is like, yep, this is a terrible thing. We're just not gonna do this anymore. But like, yeah, that is Isolde.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so once again, I thank everyone who woke up super early to play this game, while David and I are fairly comfortable. So, but thanks so much, Jesse and Maria. Okay, so all right. So I'm gonna ask for your patience because like I'm like getting used to running the game. I have the playset open though. So what we're going to start with. So the course of play, that's what I wanted to check. We have our series abilities. I just wanted to make sure. So the one that we chose 2 series abilities, just because I wanted to give them 2. It's fine. And so we have 2. We have Curiouser. Each protagonist may add +1, action rating 2, forgive, express, or conceal. Did everyone add that extra dot in one of those 3 things? The rule is that at character generation, no action rating can go above 1. So, but I think for a short series, I'm going to be okay with it. If you want to put 1 or 2, I think it's all right. We only have 3 sessions in total, so.
I thought, correct. I thought we took looking for answers.
We did. Okay.
I just want to double check with everyone because maybe I'm just misremembering.
Yeah. I would be happy to be corrected.
Just does anyone else remember differently? I just wanted to.
I think I marked one for Curiouser, but I might have also just missed it, so I can
No,
unmark.
no. Definitely go with someone else's memory, not mine.
I
That's
don't,
why I
I don't
wanted to
remember.
check.
I just marked it, so I don't know if I was confused when I
If
did
you
that.
marked it, then we probably took Curiouser. Thank you.
But do you remember, David, just in case? Like, it's just
Yeah, I think that I think that you mentioned looking for answers because I think you said it might not be a good one to take for this because obviously with the number of sessions, the actual investigating the conspiracy bit is probably not going to be as big a part of it as
that makes sense.
That might have been
yeah, because like I'm gonna make it slightly easier because normally you have to go into dream, check if they are part of the conspiracy, then go in again to confront them. It's like Persona, right? So in Persona you kind of have to like grind a bit. So it's kind of the same thing. Not that it's bad, right? I don't want to make it sound like it's bad. We're just playing a shortened version of the game. Yeah, but thank you for bringing that up, Jesse. I was like, is this an alternative timeline? Did we already like get into a different one? But yeah, so and the second ability we have is everyone thought this was so much fun. Moment of crisis. When factoring your engagement role, if you answer yes to does this mission determine the fate of a friend, gain plus 2d or 2 dice instead of just 1 dice. And also gain 1 dice when you help a friend recover from emotional harm. So this game, you can still suffer from emotional harm in other Forged in the Dark games, I think, but you tend to think more in terms of physical harm, right? But Girl by Moonlight, it's just as likely that you'll have emotional, if not mental harm, considering we're in the dream world, right? So there's that. Okay, and the transcended ability we have for the series is Hold Back the Nightmare. When you are transcended, any eclipse roll result of 4 or 5 counts as a 6. So while transcended and in eclipse, roll an extra die and on actions to frighten or upset others. So this is going to be super fun. I can't wait. Okay, so all right. So we're going to start with our cycle of play, and that begins with, so I'm looking at the out of mission tab. It starts with obligation. So all of our 4 girls have obligations to the world around them. There are pressures that press down on them that demand a lot outside of their outside of what you're doing to fight against the conspiracy. So so what we're going to do is, for this part, we're just going to it's going to be like a brief glimpse into what your life is like panels in a comic book or a quick montage. We can play it out a little bit if you like. This is meant to be like a quick peek, like the beginning of the episode on what's happening. Yeah, and I feel like after we go through the obligation phase, just because I think it's fun, we can talk about what the opening song is like what your character looks like for obligation, in your normal phase, and then what it looks like. You can describe stuff that happened in a previous episode, if you like, that happened in the ether. So, but does anyone have an idea for a scene for their obligations? So I'm looking at our character sheets. Yeah, so our obligation, E has an obligation to family or work, and Rowan is struggling with school, but also has an obligation for her younger siblings, and Isolde has an obligation to the future itself. Ooh, such a heavy load, or their grandmother. So does anyone have an idea? And we can go with that. I can sort of see something with our grandmother in the tea shop. Like, I'm already starting to see it in my mind. If you don't mind going first, Maria.
No, that's fine. I was also sort of imagining that whatever Isolde's was, it was like at the tea shop.
Yeah. It'd be nice to establish. So what does the tea shop look like? Like, what do you have in mind?
I think it's like just a small, like very airy, like establishment on the first on the ground floor, and I think it's like a place where the students go to a lot. So like maybe if like this group of friends, if they are close friends, like had a hangout, like they would all come through the tea shop after school, and that would just be the place where the students could like have some, and it's not just tea, it's like coffee and like little pastries as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking that everything in this tea shop, it's beautiful, but nothing matches. So like the chairs don't match, the teacups don't match anything, but it's all beautiful. And I'm seeing like sort of like Ghibli colors. Yeah, so that kind of thing. Like
there's like patchwork quilts.
Yeah, right. And like if you look, there's like a lot of stuff crammed into this small breezy space. So what does your grandmother look like?
I think that she is like small. I don't know if she's always been small, but it's like that sort of like, it's like she's kind of like bent over a little bit and has like white hair. And maybe imagining, what's her face from Howl's Moving Castle, Sophie.
Yeah, cool.
Kind of like dress is sort of old-fashioned, so maybe even in this timeline, older Isolde is still kind of weird in her fashion sense. Has like a fringed shawl.
Yeah, I like it. So so there's obviously a resemblance between the two of you, you know, but she's your grandmother, she's your future self, we're not sure. The timelines have gotten mucked up a bit by this point. So as you come in, she turns over to look at you and her eyes are still quite sharp. And she sees you quite clearly and she says, "Oh, yes, of course. We do need some help with the stuff at the back. Could you be a dear and get that for me?"
Of course, Grandma. Are you going to be okay running the front without me?
Oh, just for a short bit. Yeah, I'll be fine. And you can see like it's a little busy, but it's not too busy. They're just about 2 groups here because it is the summer. It would be more packed usually, but there's some regulars there. You notice that as you pass by, the girls from school look at you a bit up and down. Like, you know, they don't even realize they're doing it. Their eyes just sort of flicker. And they talk to each other. Are they talking about you or about something else? We're not sure. But yeah, typical girl stuff. So, so what do you do?
I think that Isolde's like graduated now. At least these are still students too, so they're like, I think she just walks by and like looks at them briefly and kind of like, I know you're talking about potentially me, but I'm not gonna let it bother me. And like walks to the back room where there are probably shelves on shelves of like different teas and something.
Yeah,
I don't know what goes in tea shops.
Right. And as you go into, this is the back room, and as you hear from the radio, so there's like it's one of those weird moments where there's an old-fashioned radio outside, and you don't remember that old radio being there before this moment, and a fragment of that song that you know carries the influence of these people who are trying to control the dreams. That song fragment comes through, and this is a song fragment that describes how my heart is as deep as an ocean, but it is a heart that can never be breached. And as you start to recognize that song fragment, your grandmother is suddenly next to you, and she looks very different. She starts standing up much straighter, and her eyes are much darker, and she looks harrowed. And in that moment, you know that she's not the same grandmother that's outside. you know that this is a different one. And she looks at you, and you can tell her heart is breaking. And she says, no matter what, you can't be as weak as me, no matter what. And she places her hand on your chest. You can't fall in love with her, no matter what. It will break the both of you. Do you understand?
I think Isolde will like gently like move her grandmother's hand away and kind of just like let it drop and say, I know it's hard, Granny, but I know I've seen it too.
She nods and she says, you and I both know that there's someone who's more deserving of her love.
How will I know who? How do I?
And she looks
how do
around
I do this?
and she says, oh, this is the wrong timeline. If you don't know yet. And then she flickers and shifts, and then suddenly she's gone.
And I think Isolde just like reaches their hand out, kind of like, wait, don't. And maybe we've. Is that where it ends?
Yeah. I'm thinking, if you're okay with that, right? Yeah. I like it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to see how much stress you're going to accumulate from this obligation. So, and also just as a reminder, I realized I forgot to bring it up in the beginning. We have script change as our safety tool. So if at any point, right, we can change things or fast forward or stop. So let's see. So for obligation, what we do is you roll with your lowest attribute. And so you don't have the lowest attribute, they're all equal. So I guess in this sense, it depends what flavor you're going for. It's slightly different because if sun is rolled, your obligation involves scary people or circumstances. It's physically taxing. Ooh. Yeah. Wow. I feel like I went for moon without realizing it. So,
yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Just looking
That's
at
right.
this.
Yeah. Whoops. Okay. Typical Jammy. So if moon is rolled, your obligation breaks your heart and drives you to despair. Or the stars, I can also see if stars is rolled, your obligation puts you under social pressure or sets off your anxiety. But which one do you think is more appropriate?
I feel like moon is what seems
Yeah. So
a little bit more than stars.
yeah, true. So for moon, you have one die because you have one in confess. So just go ahead and roll. Do you have the link for the roll for your party?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So just roll the one die while I reread the rules. Let's see. Yeah, 6 minus the die result. Oof. Yeah, it's like a resistance check.
Okay. Hold on. Okay, cool. It was a 4.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good, all things considered. So considering how harrowing that moment was. So since you rolled a 4, that means you mark 2 stress. You can go ahead and do that on your character sheet. Just as a reminder, when you hit full stress, that's when you eclipse, right? So your darker self takes over, which is, it's not, it may be something you want to avoid or maybe not, right? Because when you are in the eclipse phase, your stress actually goes down each time you're supposed to mark it. So it's this interesting back and forth. Okay, so I took a little long with that vignette, but let's see who else has something in mind for their character. Does Rowan or Iha feel ready?
Yeah, I have an idea, and it's actually pretty quick. or I mean, who knows? I think it should be pretty quick. I think the conflict is that it's a scene um, like with my father um, in kind of a um, like a like very sort of featureless office, right? Which are sort of like the offices of this temp agency, right? Like it doesn't take a lot of space because mostly the people who work there work other places. And I think the conflict is that I've been kind of like blowing off work for magical things and dream things. And this should be like kind of there should be a conflict here, right? That's the right.
Right, there
And
should
I
be
think
some form of pressure, right.
right. And I think my father is sort of wants to sit me down for a gentle conversation about responsibility and about how I'm graduating high school now. And that regardless of what I choose to do, whether it's school or work, I need to commit to that and follow through.
Yeah, I like it. What does your father look like?
So I think he's kind of tall-ish. Not, sorry, my standards of tall are very low. Everyone in my family is short. But like, so, let's say 6 feet, which is tall-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And 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 he's like sort of just like a button-down white shirt, gray slacks, kind of loose and comfortable. Because he doesn't actually. I think my mother's more on the client-facing side, and he's sort of more on the sort of like in the office paperwork side. So he dresses for work, but he doesn't have to be like really super presentable. Clean shaven, kind of thinning hair on top. Also South Asian.
Yeah, and I like the idea of like, so your father is like in white and gray, and the temp office around him is white and gray. Like the only thing of color is you.
Right. And I think even I'm like in my mundane form, I'm dressed like relatively staid, except for I have like I'm thinking the colors for Iha's again. I've sort of I think I figured a little bit out her transcendent look, and the colors are kind of like red and blues, um, but like sort of light red and blues, not super bright. And so she's got like kind of a neckerchief tie sort of thing. In those colors, and but she's also wearing sort of like a white blouse and a gray skirt, and is also sort of like a straight gray skirt. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So to learn from my previous thing, do you want to roll, because you also have like an even set, right, for
Yeah.
your do you want to roll? I feel like in this situation either moon or stars would apply. I
Right,
could make something work for sun though if you want
right.
to.
Moon is despair and heartbreak, and stars are panic and social pressure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't. Oh, I'm looking at Rowan. I'm like, those don't look like my stats. Yeah. So, I think it's Moon, right? I think like the sort of conflict in the scene, the thing that's like really killing me is not the social pressure. So, well, it's that like my father doesn't understand the importance of like my friends to me. Like, yeah, there's this like whole citywide conspiracy thing that I'm trying to fight, but that's not really what it's about, right? It's about protecting my friends, right, and making sure they're okay. Um,
Yeah, yeah. In
And
fact, I think he'll say something along those lines when he sees the look on your face. He'll say something like, "Look, yeah, I understand that you feel these friends of yours are important, and right now, because you're young, you'll feel that way. But believe me, when you get older, you won't even remember their names. It will mean nothing to you."
oh yeah, that's despair and heartbreak right there. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
when he said that's the moment of the role, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like this like idea that like it's not just that I need to be paid attention to my family because my friends I'm just gonna forget them anyway, and that hurts so bad. All right,
So there we
well
go.
I should generate some dice.
So yeah, so roll with the one die, and then roll 6 minus whatever you rolled.
Um, and I'm just gonna generate myself a whole ton of dice first, and then I'll.
Yeah.
Wait, where are they? Oh, there they are. Wait, that wasn't the right color. Oh well, I'm not gonna worry about it. That's the color I have now. What, I'm sorry. I'm having a hard time dragging these dice around with the.
Oh, okay.
They like disappear into the.
Oh, is the picture causing problems? Yeah, yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah, I can remove the picture. No
Now
problem.
that I found the dice, it's fine.
Okay.
They're all up in the top right hand corner now. Okay, great. And I am rolling one of them. That's a 1. Is that good?
Yeah, you mark 5 stress. So
Excellent. That is exactly what I want.
yeah, it seems appropriate.
What do the fact that there's 2 colors, am I like in some, or is it just to mark that I'm far along in stress?
Yeah, just far along. I just wanted
Great.
to create like an idea of like, this is how far we have gone. Like,
no, wonderful. I very badly want to eclipse, so this is great.
Yeah, we're about like halfway there. So, but yeah, so there we go. Mission accomplished. Yeah. So, and then so the camera shifts, and we take a look at our unlikely hero, Rowan. So what does it look like? What's happening with you and your younger siblings?
Yeah, so I think it's just one of those fairly domestic scenes. It's obviously it's the school holidays, so I think that Mum's off at work, and Rowan is left in charge of the younger kids at home. I think I've decided that she has a brother called Ash who's he's probably about like 14, 15 or so, sort of in high school, kind of thinks, but I mean, to be honest, probably is old enough to be like left on his own, and therefore resents sort of, having to do what his big sister says. And then 2 younger sisters, probably about like 10 or so, called twins called Willow and Hazel. And I think that, I think that maybe Rowan is like trying to get lunch ready or something like that.
Yeah. And so your mom's out there. Your mom's working. You can see that there's another note that's scrawled, placed on the fridge. And your mom didn't even quite finish the note in her rush to get out the door. As you look at everything, you're trying to put together lunch, but your mom didn't have time to go to the grocery, so it's a little difficult. And so you can see that the twins, Willow and Hazel, are arguing amongst themselves, and Ash looks at you. So Ash is older, right? You said he's like...
sort of like maybe 14, 15, that sort of...
Yeah. So he's like leaning against the fridge watching you, and he says, "Really? Are you cooking that again? Didn't we have that yesterday?"
Well, it's what we've got in. If you want to do something different with it, then by all means, go ahead.
No, you're the girl. You're supposed to take care of it.
You're the worst. And I think it's just gonna like kind of ignore him and go back to sort of like making some like I'm imagining just like sort of some pasta with like whatever happened to be in the fridge mix into it, sort of thing.
Right, like ketchup instead of tomato sauce, something.
Yeah,
So, yeah. So, do you feel? So, I'm looking at your lowest. I think that. Let's see. Your lowest one is stars, right?
It is indeed. Yep.
Yeah. So we have. So that means you're gonna roll with. Since you don't have a dot, an action. Oops, I marked it by accident. Since you don't have an action rating, you roll with 2 dice and then take the lowest. And I'm double checking. Stars is the anxiety one, right? Yeah. So I feel like as this is happening, like it's getting close on your face, we can see the pressure is mounting and the twins are arguing and your brother's rolling his eyes. And even though he's just sighing, it's like that anime moment where the sigh is so loud, it's reverberating. But yeah, so go ahead and roll 2 dice and then we'll pick the lowest one. So we'll see.
That is a 3 is the lowest.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. In this, yeah. 3. That's right, the lowest. So that means you get a total of 3 stress.
Sure thing.
Yeah. So you managed to pull through. You turn around. The twins. I have a feeling the twins, even though they're old enough to act better, they really don't. You notice that they tend to act up more when your mom isn't around. So they're already getting into things, and they're trying to break the chair somehow. I think they're kind of violent sometimes. So
yeah, and they've definitely got that kind of creepy twin thing going on where they can like immediately go into like the perfect innocent smiles and
yeah, the moment you look at them, they're like, what? Nothing. We were just talking. But yeah. Okay, so our 4 girls, you have dealt with your obligations. And then the next phase is downtime actions. So you get 2 downtime actions each. You can, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 possible actions. I like how straightforward it is, actually. It's less, you're less paralyzed between the choices. So you have shared intimate moments. So this is how you build social links with one another. You can help a friend recover, which we don't need to do now because no one has suffered from harm. There's also investigate the darkness. If you want to have more insight on what's happening, we do have our 3 suspects, which I'll talk about right after this. And you can also work on a long-term project, like if you want to accomplish something. And you can also choose the same action twice if you like, right? You can even choose it with the same person or a different thing. It's completely up to you. So just as a recap for the suspects that we have so far, let's see. Yeah, so we have 3 suspects. We have John Warden, him. He is the CEO of the largest accounting firm, True Evil. And he is also the demon that created Faustina. So we already know he's a bad person, but he may also be tied up in the conspiracy to making him double bad. And then there's Alma-chan, she, her, the mother of Isolde and the CEO of this monolithic corporation, numerous corporations. We know that Alma-chan wants to control history. They have, all the companies are dealing with that. So they have a textbook publishing company, they have a PR firm, all of the things. They're just trying to control the message that's getting out there. And finally, we have Mr. Graves, he, him pronouns. Mr. Graves is a former high school history teacher. He may have a connection of some kind, and he is currently teaching the twins, actually. So, is he teaching the twins or is he teaching Ash? Because Ash is older.
Yeah, it's probably Ash. I think the twins are probably too young to be at
Yeah.
high school. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. So, so we're going to also establish which one we're going to delve into, as it were, later when we go on mission. So, what downtime actions would we like to take? I think, actually, yeah, I realized I forgot to do the opening anime song thing. So, if we want to briefly do that as well, I think it'll be fun. I'll set the stage. So, what everyone sees first. I feel like it has to be an English song. It has to be an English song that's sung by a Japanese person. So there's that feel. I feel like there's a lot of like distortion of guitars in the song, and we see a train that zooms by, and then the train looks like it's going to smash into the wall, but instead it turns into a dragon that reaches up towards the sky, and we see the city's dream unfolding like a flower, and we see the statues all looking up towards the dragon, reaching out with their hands clawing at the statue. And what do we see of each of your characters in this opening sequence? It can just be like a moment or a visual motif. We can start with, I feel like we should start with our unlikely hero, or end with our unlikely hero. What do you think, David?
I might go with end with, actually, for the visual I have in mind.
Sure.
Or actually, no, maybe possibly like kind of maybe sort of like a bookend, because I think like the ending bit is possibly like a continuation of the first, but with like everything else in between. But yeah, I think we maybe just get like a visual of like Rowan like walking down a street, just kind of like just looking down at the floor, even maybe not really paying attention to what's going on around her. But we see it's like one of those, the sort of like time-lapse style things where we see kind of like the sun moving across the sky and days passing and all this, and she's just sort of like walking slowly down the street, and I think each time like the lighting changes, the street's just like a little bit different.
Ooh, I like it.
She's like seemingly oblivious to it all, sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. How about Iha? What does Iha look like in our opening sequence?
Yes, so she's sitting at a desk that's like stacks and stacks of papers on it, and she's like writing something. And I think and she's wearing similar to what we saw in that previous scene, right? You can't like, she's sitting at the desk, you can only see her upper body, and she's wearing a white blouse with a little sort of blue and red kerchief. And then the desk sort of like, there's like a spin. She spins, the desk spin, everything sort of spins. The papers come flying off the desk in kind of like a circular whirlwind kind of look. And as it's turning, like her hair is growing and starting to swirl, and her outfit kind of like starts to transform. And this all happens very fast, right? It's like, where did all that fabric come from? And in the end, you sort of see her in a pose, like when she turns around. So when she turns back, when you see the back of her head, right, and then as her face comes back around into the camera, she's wearing the mask, and it sort of ends with sort of like her looking at the camera. Looks like sort of at least her lower face looks kind of determined, like set jaw, and like her hair and outfit, which I think is sort of loose sleeves down to sort of like mid arm. It's sort of like a few layers of fabric like draped over her, and then there's sort of like in the front, it's sort of like there's like it's a dress, so cinched at the waist, and then the skirts of the dress are sort of like just above her knees in the front, but trail behind her, long, and all in sort of these different layers of like different pastel blue and red, but different sort of levels of lightness and dark. Yeah, and that's sort of the all in like 3 seconds, right? That's
yeah. It's one of those things where we see a Twitter thread breaking down the animation. That's how like
right, like frame by frame. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, and I love how the outfit came together in this moment. Super cool. Yeah, and what do we see of Isolde?
I think Isolde's scene is like at the tea shop, and it's like maybe it like starts with like a close up on like the hands, like setting up, pouring like water into like the cup. I feel like the background music has sort of like shifted into like electronic violin, sort of like a crescendo. And I think Isolde is like looking out of the window at the front of the shop, and like it kind of like zooms to like all the different people that are walking out there, kind of like, is this the fated person, is this the fated person, like that sort of flashing through. And I think that it's sort of like maybe they've transcended in sort of, maybe there's like a spinning scene also, and is now in that sort of all white costume with like the white shorts, white tights, and the ruff, and it's like kind of it's sort of like in the dream where you're like floating towards people, and then maybe this is where like they see Rowan in the distance walking with their head down, and maybe Isolde, like the last shot for Isolde's intro thing is that like the focus goes back to like Rowan's figure, and sort of maybe not like the anime rose petals, but something like those like motion speed lines or the zoom lines like point at Rowan, and maybe that's when the camera just like zooms back in that direction.
Yeah, I like it. So this is perfect. So what do we see of Rowan?
Yeah, and I think that actually ties in really nicely to where I was going to go, which is I think we kind of, as we get into that last shot of Rowan, and I think the kind of the sky has gone to that sort of like deep red sunset sort of thing, and we just see like a Rowan casting a really long shadow that kind of climbs up one of the buildings behind her, and it's like clearly like exactly what the figure is indistinct, but it is clearly a I think someone may be holding like a rod, and they may be wearing a crown as well, I think.
Yeah, and I like that moment where like, and then all the statues move towards the crown and reach out for it instead. And there's this moment where all the media, all the screens flare up, and we see we never see the full singer. I feel like we only see like their lips or a part of the shoulder of the outfit. Like we never see their full face. And you realize that the last part of the opening song fades into that strange, haunting melody, and the last thing we see are the previous girls who were turned into statues and tears falling down their face. And that's where we see the title sequence, In a Maze of Dreams. And we come back to see our girls. I feel this is actually a good time to take a break because we've been at it for about an hour. So, and it'll give you more time for thinking about what to do for your downtime actions. So let's take a 10-minute break and then we'll get back into it. Okay, cool. See you in 10 minutes. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi. Good morning.
Hello.
Should we figure out our promises at
Oh.
some point?
Yeah, because it could play into the downtime actions too. That's a good one. So let me take a look.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking, and maybe tell me if this makes sense. That one of my downside actions should be like an intimate scene or a social scene with Isolde, and that might be like, and then that can sort of lead into what that promise might be. Sort of like see how we play off each other, and then like what develops out of that scene, and then go from there. Mostly because I'm having a hard. I have like a few kind of like rough ideas, but I'm having a hard time sort of nailing down exactly what that should look like.
Yeah. That's a really good way to go about it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with that. So I'll just read it out. For share an intimate moment. In downtime, you may share an intimate moment with another protagonist. Describe the circumstances of your encounter and how you are vulnerable in this moment. So ask them, do you share this moment or set boundaries? So if they, because this game is because this one's different from the normal social links move. Because in A Maze of Dreams, it's like, how much of myself do I allow someone else to come in, right? So the idea of boundaries is really important here. If they shared with you, roll 1 extra dice. If they set boundaries, you still get to roll, but instead you mark XP, like you don't get the extra die. And then you roll a suitable action, whichever you think best fits the other player, right? So let's say if E has the one who initiates the moment, it's going to be Isolde that will assign the links as they choose between the characters.
And does this scene like it happens in dreams, in the mundane world, in either? Does it matter?
Ooh, I think originally the idea is the mundane world, but I'm also okay with it being in a dream if you have an idea.
I think so. Here's the mundane. Here's an idea. So tell me if this appeals to you. I'm not sure exactly where the role is in this, but just as like a setting, as like a location, and maybe a subject for the scene. We're at the statue of our lost comrade.
Cool. That is, yeah.
Like, and I don't know, maybe we were just like walking around the city, and and like we just sort of like we turned a corner and there it was. I don't know if this is the first time we're seeing it, or we knew it's there and sort of our like subconsciously we ended up walking there.
Yeah, can I offer that it's the first time you're physically seeing it, but you've been seeing the statue in your dreams. Like you had this horrible suspicion it was there.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think I'm like caught up short by it. Like we were talking about some like normal mundane shit. Maybe I was like trying to talk to you about like I had this like argument with my dad, and I'm like trying to, and I don't know, and I'm telling you about like, I don't know, like maybe I shouldn't like be spending so much time in the dream. Maybe I do, like I have to decide, am I gonna go to school? And then like we're sort of caught up short by this statue, and I think I think I just kind of like my arms just kind of like I kind of go slack, and I look at it, and then I look at you, and you can just like see the look of like failure on my face, and I'm like, see, I'm not even good at it. We lost her. What am I even doing?
I think so. I know that Faustina is you. Do I? right?
No,
No, I don't.
you
Okay.
don't.
You just know that if I understand this right, that he has been helping with
Mhm.
everything, and goes into the dream with you, but you don't know that
Right.
they
I
have an
don't. You don't.
avatar.
So far as you're concerned, like this is part of it, right? So far as you're concerned, I don't have a like
An
transcendent
avatar. Okay.
self, an avatar. So like and I and so like my role is sort of like from your perspective is as sort of like support.
Mhm.
Um so like partly it's like taking care of your sleeping bodies when you're
Mhm.
dreaming, but like probably also, which we didn't talk about last time, but I think fits. But then like probably also like some in the dream, like I might not do like the big crazy stuff, but like I'm there to sort of like run interference or whatever.
Okay. I think Isolde probably all just like doesn't want to look at this statue as much because it reminds them of like what the potential of failure is, and so they turn and look at you with like their back to the statue, and I think they say probably something like, we're all just trying to do what we can. There's just, I don't know if we're enough. Um, the, the conspiracy is just too big. I think we might need help somehow.
I mean, but what help am I? Maybe I should just disappear into the waking world, you know, go to school, get a job, like
If you do that, that leaves us far worse than where we currently are. I think we need all of the dream walkers, even you.
even me.
Well, you know what I mean.
Tell me what you mean.
I mean, you don't have an avatar, but who would take care of us when we are in the dream if it weren't for someone who was just so foundational and ingrained in making sure nothing happens to us.
So maybe I should do that. Maybe I just shouldn't help in the dream. Maybe I should just like pull myself out and, fine, I'll watch your bodies when you're asleep. Um
Um,
but like I don't know. I was in the dream when and here I'm wondering, maybe we don't have a name for this character. We should give her a name because otherwise we're just going to keep or do we not remember her name? Has she
I like that because we did establish that people started
Oh
forgetting.
shit.
So you
Oh,
still
Maybe
no.
have,
that's the role.
yeah. Like
Maybe that's the role. Can I remember her name or is it being erased?
yeah. I think so. I like that a lot.
And is that and that's like the social link also, like where we're like connecting over this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
This thing, right? But it's like can we share the bond over, but like that's the actual thing that we're trying to have happen, right? I'm not sure we're at that role yet, but maybe that's what it is. Like but maybe what happened was that like it seems like I failed to everybody else because I fell asleep and ended up in the dream and something happened to her body or something like that. But I also wasn't in the dream. Like Iha wasn't in the dream.
Yeah.
Faustina was, and whatever happened in the dream to lose her, or like I wasn't there to wake her when the thing happened, right? And to pull her out, and because I was in the dream as Faustina, and Faustina also fucked it up.
Yeah.
Right, so that's like everyone else thinks it's my fault because I didn't wake her up because I fell asleep. But I know it's my fault also because I was also
Ooh.
there and didn't do it. So it's like on both levels. I failed as Iha and I failed as Faustina.
What if there was like a battle or something like in the final episode, and like this is when we first, well, not when we first see Faustina, but this is like when Hart, Isolde's like transcended form, like maybe interacted with Faustina the most and during this battle, and like kind of feels that maybe Faustina like screwed it up. Like it was going well until this like mysterious like form.
Oh,
I love it.
Do you say that? Do you say that? Do you say
Yeah,
like it wasn't really your fault? It was all Faustina.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to ask, like, are you going to share this moment or set boundaries? And the answer will be whether you share what you're really thinking.
Yeah, I think I say something like, it wasn't that you weren't there. It was that there's this person in the dream who got in the way, and like it wasn't your fault, Iha. It was it was Faustina.
Yeah, and I think remind me the consequences of setting boundaries versus
Yeah, no worries. So if they share the moment with you, you get to roll with another die. If they set boundaries, you mark XP instead.
So is that you sharing the moment or setting boundaries, Isolde?
I think I was sharing the moment.
Because you were revealing your inner truth.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so I think I'm going to roll that, and then we'll sort of see.
Yeah. So you're trying to remember the name. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, or? I think that's what it is, right? I think it's like whether am I keeping her or losing her?
Yeah, and I feel like analyze is pretty good for trying to remember, but let me know what you think. Like,
let me kind of just try to remember what they are.
You can just like hover over each one and the description will show up.
The one thing about these, they're very like evocative, but it's not always easy to sort of get a sense of what they mean.
Yeah, because we're not used to, because we have so many of our games, there's only like one social skill, right? So like having it split up like this, that was also my struggle. I was like, this shouldn't be so hard, but it is.
I think you're probably, well, I'm not, is it analyze or is it perceive? It's not the world.
Ooh, yeah. So those two tend to, it's like one of those blades of the dark things where like the skills merge in it. Let me go ahead and find the description. And I misspelled perceive. So there we go. Let's see. Yeah.
No, it's perceive or analyze for sure. It's one of those two.
Yeah. Ooh, but we don't have a written description. But let me read it out. So when you analyze, you search beyond the surface presentation of the world. You discover secrets. You might study an ancient book for information on magic rituals. You might discern a gap in your foe's defenses. But then perceive, because when you perceive, you see the world as it presents itself without judgment. You might observe someone and note their daily routine. You might see the beauty present even in the darkest and strangest corners of the world. So like maybe you're trying to get to the truth.
Yeah, so just to think about what's happening here, right? There's like something magical, right? Like that the conspiracy is sort of like encroaching, right? Is like encroaching on my brain in a certain way. And that's like part of me is wondering if like maybe it's actually a defy in a certain sense.
Oh yeah,
because I'm trying to fight back against that, or is it like?
You know what? I like that idea.
Or is it like forget? This is so cool, by the way. I feel like I'm sorry I'm spending so much time on this, but
no, this is fun. I like it.
I love these. I'm just trying to sort of like, or like, is it about forgiving myself? Is it forgive and like meaning like that's what I need to do, like to forgive myself for whatever sort of
Oh
mistake
gosh. Yeah, that's right.
happened, and like that's what will let me remember.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
don't.
That's me also pushing for the thing I have a die in, so I don't want to get too metagamey
No, but
there
it's
in that sense.
okay.
But
But
yeah,
I'm game for defy or forgive.
let's
Just
say
because.
I think it's forgive, right? Because that's what the conversation is about, right? Like to sort of relate the and that's the way the well.
Yeah, and
Let's
can
say
you still?
defy. I actually
Oh,
think it's defy.
Are
sure,
Sorry,
you
I
like
sure.
keep
trying to remember like the name, like as I'm actively talking about how like Faustina and
Mm,
Iha like are both
right. I think
differentially like responsible? Like, are you trying to like, is this what your brain is focused on, like fighting to remember?
kind of, yeah, and that's what this is why I think it can't be forgive, because like either way it's my fault, right? What you say is not helping me realize, like, forgive myself,
Nope.
right? So like in that sense, like I don't think there's any real sense of that. I'm gonna leave this feeling like I fucked up. um but I do think that there's a sense in which like I can come out of it like resolved to do more, not to fuck up again, or I can come out of it feeling defeated. um and like that's why it's defy, right? I'm fighting against this
I
like
like it.
influence of the conspiracy to remember who she is and that she matters and that I need to fight for her whether she's there or not.
Yeah, I super
I think
agree.
that I think that's probably it. um
Yeah, so go
yeah,
ahead
so
and roll.
I'm like and that's why what you're saying matters, right? Like because like yeah, you're reminding me that I'm also Faustina, and I like I do that for a reason, or I'm terrible at it, and why am I bothering? You know, it's that like, um, um, awesome. Okay,
Very cool, very cool. So
all
you
right.
get to
So
roll with
that's
one die because Isolde opened up to you instead of
yeah.
you having to roll two and take the lowest.
Let's give it a shot. It's not going
Yeah.
to go well.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, 5. It went okay.
Yeah, oh, five is good. You got so
Yeah.
that's two links. So on the character sheet, that is social links. It's like the lowest part. So you can just type in the character name and then
And you
select two.
and your soul gets those links, right? That's how that
Oh,
works.
wait, sorry, I forgot to say. So that's a good question. So Isolde, you get to say how it's distributed between the two of you. Do you get the two? Does Iha get the two? Do you split one each? Like,
Probably split one each, like as like I think narratively, like as we're having this conversation, it's also affecting Isolde, like having to make her again, like also feel that resolve to like do better in the future and to figure out a way to like get the help that she thinks like they need to fight. Because like we
yeah,
said, I think that currently it seems like they're the only one with an avatar. So,
yeah. So much pressure. Yeah, so go ahead. And I think in that moment, um, in your defiance, what comes through is both of you remember the exact same moment at the same time. So we see your I feel like the name is just on the edge of it. Like, you know, it started with an M, but you don't have the full name. They have long, straight blue hair, but they're those anime ringlets on the front, but it's like pale blue. And you have this strong memory of her throwing her arms around the two of you and saying, as long as we're together, we're going to make it no matter what. I know I can count on the two of you always.
All right. And I sort of give them a sad smile and sort of say, yeah, you're right. But I still should have tried harder. And to you, it sounds like I'm saying, yeah, it was Faustina's fault, not mine, and I should have but that doesn't mean I did my part the way I should have. But really, what I'm saying is, yeah, you're right, I fucked up, and I need to work harder at it. And I sort of I take their hand and I squeeze it, and maybe we sort of walk off holding hands. And I think I have a promise. if you're cool with it. I think the promise is something like it's supposed to be an intimate promise. So it's something like I promise, like, I won't let you down again. Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, that's not super intimate, but I think it's I won't let you down again. I think is sort of what. Oh no, it's better than that. I think a- a- as we're leaving, I started wait, when I squeeze your hand, I say, but I need to, but but I but I need to do better. Um, I promise next time I will be there for you.
Oh, okay.
I love it. I love it. So good. So much pain already. So good. Yeah, so we have one downtime action. Do you have another idea, Jesse, or should we go to someone else first and then come back?
I mean, I have a ton of ideas. I just feel like that was a long scene.
Yeah.
So if we wanna jump around so that everybody, like I have an idea for investigation. I have an idea for, I don't know if I want to do a long-term project, just because like next week is my last session, and I suspect the way this is going to go, just based on timing, this is going to be mostly downtime, and that will be mostly mission. So I'm not really going to have time to complete a long-term project.
Yeah,
So
I get you.
So maybe a couple investigations, but I have an idea for at least one.
Cool. Yeah, so maybe we can switch to Rowan to see what she's doing. Do you have an idea, David, though, for your downtime action?
Yeah, I've got a couple of ideas. And I think the first one I want to do is probably going to be a fairly straightforward one. I'd like to do an investigate. And I think it's going to be one of those, again, being the unlikely hero. I think that, like, I don't think that she's intentionally going out to investigate, but I think it's going to be like, just a kind of chance thing. And I think what
like
she's
you
going
stumble
to
onto it, yeah.
Yeah, I think what it is that she's going to go and speak to the history teacher, Mr. Graves. And I think I think it's sort of to go and talk to him about, like, the the results that she got in her exams, sort of thing. But I think that I will roll it as like essentially as her, like, picking up on something off about him, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe he's totally on the level and it's all fine.
Yeah, that's totally likely. Sure, go ahead. I'm going to say that normally there's a rule where we remove half of the crew's progress at the end of each session, but I'm going to just ignore that for the series. So we'll keep whatever you roll this time. So when you investigate the darkness, describe how you are seeking information, which you did. Roll an appropriate action. So treat this as a gather information roll, so you can ask any of your questions from your gather information tab if you like. But you also have the additional benefit of advancing the clock 1 plus your result.
Yeah, so I think that this is probably going to be an empathize roll, because I think it is just going to basically be, I think, like, the actual conversation will probably be fairly sort of banal, but I think that she maybe, like, gets a vibe off him.
Yeah, I love it.
So I'll just roll one of those again. That's a 5.
Ooh, nice. Okay, so which question would you like to ask from your gather info tab?
I think I had it a moment ago, and then
oh, it's fine. We have lots of tabs.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be straightforward, especially given what I was rolling. What is Mr. Graves really feeling?
Ooh, okay. So on a 5, so we're gonna tick up. I'm looking. Where did I put it? Okay. So many tabs. Okay, our series. Here we go. Investigation. Wow. So you got. Is that right? Does it go all the way up already? Because you technically hit a 6, right?
That was a 5.
Yeah,
I
but
got.
plus. Yeah, but +1. Does that mean you level up already this year? Wow, is that fast? Am I messing this up somehow? Anyway, I will double check. But oh wait. No. I think there's a roll. I'm pretty sure I messed up.
Oh yeah, no. So I think by
2
sorry, I was
segments.
just looking at it. Yes, it's So
Yeah.
so yes, I think it's 1 plus your results. I think that would be 3 segments.
Yeah. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
It's a bit confusingly worded. I think that I stumbled
Yeah.
over that the first time I read it. It was
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna write that down just for the feedback because like I thought it was literally your roll, but yeah, that's right. I see what you mean. Like it's the result +1. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. Just so that everyone knows what we were looking at, because it says result effect. So because we have a 5, it's 2 links / 2 segments. So 2 segments +1, 3. Yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay. And so what is Mr. Graves really feeling? I have an idea for what Mr. Graves looks like, but do you have an idea for what he looks like?
No, I have a fairly blank slate for me.
Yeah, I was the way I see him is he's quite thin, he's quite tall and lanky. He always wears clothes that are slightly like ill-fitting somehow. You have a feeling that he gets them from thrift stores a lot of the time because the clothing is slightly out of fashion, like slightly, off. And he just has one of those faces that could be anyone's face. But it could be handsome, maybe, but it's also just such a quotation mark generic looking face. And so when I see him in my mind, I feel like he's biracial, like half Caucasian, half Asian. And so like he probably like, let's make him half Korean, half American. And as you're talking to him, you start to see like in his eyes, there's this sense of deep guilt, just absolute guilt. You can recognize in the way that he's talking to you, he keeps flicking his eyes towards you and he keeps looking down like he's really, really guilty. And it's connected to you because when he's talking to anybody else, the guilt's not there.
Cool. Mm-hmm. And I get to ask a follow-up question, don't I think, on the 5.
Yes.
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 Cool. I thought I just read that. Yes. So I think I had something and then lost it again. I think I'm gonna. Yeah, I think. I think actually I'm going to ask: have I noticed this sort of reaction from him before, or does this seem to be something new?
Ooh, yeah. I'll say that this doesn't count as your follow-up question, at least, because this is something your character should have noticed. This is the first time. Like before this, he was just kind of awkward. He had a substitute teacher vibe, even though he's not a substitute teacher. He's been pretty. He appreciates you because you've been nice to him. So this is the first time he's looked so guilty. But yeah, I'll still allow the follow-up question that's connected.
Cool. So I will. So I think I'm going to ask if because I feel like just asking what is he guilty for is probably something I wouldn't just get in this sort of interaction. But I think that what I would like to kind of drill down on is the guilt something to do with me or with my brother? Because I'm thinking my character isn't like can't think of anything that he should be feeling guilty for. regarding her specifically. So yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, but it's exactly it. Like, you have a sense it's about your brother. Like, he's done something that he shouldn't have.
Cool.
Yeah, and so my question for you then in response is, how has your brother changed recently, like in attitude or in demeanor?
Yeah, I think that he has just been a bit more like, I think he has just been that sort of bit more like bratty and closed off and stuff than he was previous. I think like obviously it's like, I think it's definitely something that like Rowan has just put down to him, being a teenager, but I think they were possibly, I think that they've actually, for brothers and sisters, they've actually mostly got on in the past, and I think that like him getting more kind of stroppy is a new development.
Yeah, I feel that makes sense. Yeah, and as the realization dawns on you, we cut back to moments where you notice your brother has been singing the song. He's been humming it to himself every so often. Like, and it's always when, like, you're not really paying attention to him and you're taking care of so many things and you realize he's been humming it.
Cool.
Okay, so I think that's your first downtime action, and let's round it off towards Isolde. What's your first downtime action?
I was gonna first, I think I figured out my promise to Iha, which was it's a forgotten promise, so I clearly haven't been thinking about it much, but I think it was like when I first found out that you also were going into the dream, that maybe my promise was to like make you better or to build you up as like a dream walker, not knowing about your avatar or anything, just I need allies, yeah. I will train you. And it's something that like I haven't been thinking about, but maybe starting to remember now that we had that conversation.
Right, nice. That last conversation is like, oh, I feel like I'm a failure. Maybe you should help me out with.
We're all failures, yeah. Apparently. And then I think for my downtime action, I was sort of thinking I wanted to share an intimate moment with Rowan. And I'm sort of imagining, because I feel like Grandma Isolde doesn't really have many other staff members that it's happening at the tea shop, like a lot of Isolde's life. And I'm like, maybe it's like an afternoon, if this makes sense. And like, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that was basically the scene I was planning as well. So yeah, that's cool.
And I think it's like, because I think that you, like maybe, it's that awkward thing where Isolde was like attracted to Rowan, but I don't know if I've told you out loud that I can't actually act on my feelings for you.
Yeah, I kind of get the feeling it was one of those like awkward, like, confession moments, but then like nothing has happened since.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just like, Isolde is like pushing. I think that this is a tea shop where they have everything. So there's bubble tea. And Isolde is like pushing bubble tea across the counter and like awkwardly just like trying to make conversation about the day.
Yeah. Yeah, and Rowan says, yeah, I'm sorry I haven't had a chance to, hang out since school finished. My mum's been busy and I've been helping look after the kids and
the kids, right? Your brother, it's a lot, isn't he?
Yeah, he's I mean, I guess we're all
I've
kind of like that
I've only
at his
seen
age,
him.
but
Yeah, I've only seen him a few times, but very. She just like makes a face because she doesn't have siblings. So, and then she's like, "Have you thought about what you're going to do?"
not really. No, I don't know. Yeah, I've not given it much thought. What about you? What are you?
In Isolde, I think like is sort of doing that like staring awkwardly at Rowan thing, because in their mind the future is prevent Rowan from becoming evil, and so they kind of just go like, not much. I'll probably just, Granny needs help around here. I mean, it's kind of, maybe I'll keep seeing you after this. Maybe.
Yeah, no, that would be. I'd like to keep in touch, and I mean, I don't suppose. Does your granny need like maybe some extra help around here?
Oh.
I mean, I could, I should like find at least a part-time job or something. Well,
Isolde definitely hesitates, because like that means that they'd be around Rowan longer, which would make that whole not falling in love thing more awful.
I feel like this is a conceal role.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Like you're struggling with being, yeah, sure you can, and no, and you're trying to, because what you're really trying to do is not show how you really feel. Does that make sense? Or did you have something else in mind?
I was trying to think if there's anything else, because I think on the other hand, having Rowan around means that Isolde can keep an eye on them. So, but yeah, I think, was she trying to conceal it? Oh man, all my characters are bad at feelings.
And I feel like at this moment, your grandmother is being really nice. Like, it comes over, checks in on you, but as she walks away, you can't help but remember that other version, that other grandmother in the stockroom.
Right. Yeah, I think Isolde just goes, should I roll first and then see what happens?
Yeah, I think that's
okay.
Cool. Oh, but also, so this is a question for okay. Is Rowan sharing the moment or setting boundaries?
I think Rowan's sharing the moment here, really. I think Rowan's being relatively open about her own feelings.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that means you get to roll with an extra die.
Okay.
And for this conceal, what do we have? So you have 1 in conceal already.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you get to roll 2 dice and then just pick the highest.
Just get another dice. Oh no. I have 1 pip and 1 actual number. A 5 and a 4, and I pick the highest.
Yeah, so it's a 5.
Yep.
Nice. So on the A5, that is 2 links. So it's, but tell me how it goes, because 5 is pretty good, actually.
Yeah, so I think like, not Ron, Isolde's hesitating, but then I think it clicks that like this is a good thing, that they can keep an eye on Rowan and like sort of just make sure that they're not getting into trouble. So they like snap back into like the present instead of trying to imagine what could possibly happen. Oh yeah, I'm sure we can have another helper. That would help so much. You don't know how many times I've just been here alone waiting. And so even though it's a summer, it's so crowded sometimes, just like those weird times when people are going on tours and vacations. So yeah, I'll talk to her, but it would be nice to have you around.
And at that moment, your grandmother cuts in, yes, we have a uniform in your size. And then she pushes it like it's this cute little apron situation that she pushes on you. And look, I have your name tag already. I had a feeling that you were going to sign up. So we're all ready, right? And then she's like patting Isolde's like a shoulder. But then she whispers, remember what I said.
And Isolde's just like, oh no, Roman is going to look cute in that outfit.
Super cute. The cutest. But yeah, so and now Rowan, you'll assign the social link. So that's 2 links. You can split it between you. You can have both. Isolde can have both, however you like.
I think I'm going to give both to Isolde in this case because yeah, I think that Isolde was still kind of being quite reticent. So I think that it's more that I don't feel that I've kind of got as much. I mean, I know it's not leverage, but you know what I mean. I think that it's more a bit more one-sided maybe in that thing. Mm-hmm. Is it okay if we just kind of roll the scene on to sort of encompass my downtime action as well?
Yeah. I feel like it's flexible.
Just because so I think it was a very similar sort of idea that I was going to go for as well. So I think maybe we just kind of get like a very brief cut where I think maybe Isolde does go and sort of get changed into the uniform, and sort of comes back out and I want to, actually, I mean, this is it's quite, because I said she doesn't usually, so I think maybe this is like the first time sort of wearing like a kind of skirt and stuff that we've certainly seen, and sort of says, does this look okay?
Isolde's like sweaty palms, like yes, you look really nice. You should, I mean, you look good in jeans too, but this is different.
Thanks. Yeah, it's I must admit it's not what I normally wear, but well, it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be fun working here, and I'm looking forward to just spending more time with you in general.
And Isolde's like super torn as usual. It's like, I can't fall in love, but I really like you. It's summer, so it comes in bursts. We'll have a lot of time to just sit, and sometimes there are people in here who are not super nice, but I guess that's how it is everywhere.
I guess it's that's how it's always going to be. And sorry, it rains particularly loud today, but I hope I'm sure you'll be able to show me what I need to do and how to deal with it all.
Yeah. So I feel like, this is a question to ask Isolde. Are you sharing the moment, or are you setting boundaries?
I think so. I think I've sort of shared the moment, but I could also see like I might be setting a boundary because when you said like how to deal with it all, it could also be like that double meaning of how to be the avatar, and I don't know that like
Yeah.
actually
Mhm.
yeah, it might be setting a boundary because I don't know if I want to like really open up about how I can help in more than just, or how I plan to help in more than just a social mundane way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Makes sense.
So you mark XP.
Yeah.
I think.
Cool. And I think what I'm going to like role wise, I think I'm probably going, if somewhat awkwardly, I think I'm going for a confess here. As I think the subtext of this is quite obvious, if even if Rowan is kind of stumbling over it.
I love this. Yes, let's go for it.
So I do roll 2 dice because I roll an extra dice for being an unlikely hero.
Ooh, that's right.
And that's a 5 again.
Nice. Okay. So, so how do you want to distribute the social links? So it's 2 social links again.
I think like probably splitting it again. So you get like, I don't know, but I think splitting it. I can't think of a good reason.
Yeah.
That seems good.
Yeah, I like it. Very cool. All right. So, is it okay if we shift over to Iha and for their second downtime action? Okay, very cool. So what would you like to do, Iha, for your second action?
I think I want to do a investigate roll. That's what that's called.
Yeah, absolutely. So
and I think trying to remember the name. Was there a list of the NPCs?
Yeah, so go to our series. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
There we go. No, don't be sorry. It's the game and it's awesome.
So if you go down to our suspects, I'm going to just move it so it's easier to see.
I see it.
Yeah. I'm just obsessing, but it's fine. All right. So you can see it a bit more clearly.
There we go. And I think the sort of I think I want to talk to or have sort of investigate John Wharton's accounting firm. And I'm kind of imagining, right, this is like I've maybe while Rowan and Isolde are having this conversation and are hanging out at the tea shop, I've been hired by them to do some filing. You know, I got sent there at work to do some filing, and I'm like newly determined, right, to be useful in any way. And you know, maybe that's not in the dream. Maybe that's by taking advantage of my position to see who to find out more about one of our suspects.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you can choose one of the gather info questions if you like.
Right. Well, let me look at my questions. And are there general questions or there's just my personal questions?
I'm going to double check. That's a good question. Investigate the darkness. Treat this as gather information. Let me check gather information. I'm actually going to check it in the Blades SRD just to be sure.
Yeah, I think I think in Blades has its like set gather information questions, but there's not a ton of information in Blades on gather information. I think
Yeah,
all of the other Forged in the Dark games have
are
more
really vague about it.
robust. Yeah, have more. The other games all have more robust gather information mechanics.
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah, because we're always just like, all right. Let me
Yeah.
just also double check the Girl by Moonlight book.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how many questions I get till I roll anyway. But I think what I'm doing right is sort of like,
Ooh, yeah, it's from your list. I just double checked.
great, yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a question of I think it's a question of like, I'm there like in this building's archives, whatever, like filing. I mean, basically just like accounting stuff, but like I have access to at least the ones that aren't super secret initially. And I think depending on what questions I get, depending on what I roll, I might try to see if I can sneak a peek at super secret files.
Makes sense.
And
so is that analyze or proceed?
To me, that is probably analyze.
Okay, makes sense.
I guess it's a gather information role, so I can't really do anything to get more dice.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's also no like harm that could happen. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's 2 dice. Take the lowest. And a 6 and a 1.
Oh, that's so painful.
Isn't it?
It's so painful when it's a 6 and a 1. So you get to ask one of the questions.
One of the questions, and I get a follow-up, right?
Oh, no follow-up.
No follow-up with a 1 is right.
Yeah,
the follow-up with a...
Is with a 4 and higher.
Yeah. So the fact that I only get 1 and no follow-up means I just had my questions. There they are. I guess it's really like, what does John Wharton really want? Like if I can find like a file that sort of like points me towards his larger goals, that would be great.
Yeah, I'll say that you find. So you're looking through the paper. You're looking through like the files, and I'll say like it's one of those weird moments where you were looking through the computers at first and you couldn't find anything, and so you wandered to a place where they kept physical like file cabinets, and that's where you could find something. And I'll say like the reason why you ordered 1 is because you only have a limited time in there before someone comes by. But the information that you do get is you see that he has been auditioning a lot of young girls to be a singer, and you see like fragments of the lyrics over and over again, and he's gone through dozens and dozens and dozens of girls, and you have this horrible suspicion because you don't recognize any of the names, but the way that they're described is as if they're supposed to be famous.
Meaning I should know who they are and I don't, or got it. Okay.
Absolutely. Right. That's your impression that you should know these names and you don't. Yeah.
And that's awesome, first of all. Second of all, just to clarify, so in terms of like, what does he want? He wants to find someone to perform this song.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Like he's looking for this perfect person. I wish I could tell you more. So.
No. I mean, that's a great answer on a 1. I'm excited about this. This is cool. Although I guess I also wish you could tell me more. And then the investigate track goes up 2.
That's right. Let me double check.
I was mostly just saying that to make sure I understood.
Yeah. I get it. Looking, so 1 segment plus 1, so it goes up. Yes, 2. Yeah, which means you level up. Am I doing this right? Okay, I gotta double check. Because I feel like, is that too easy to get to tier 3? But then again, you're supposed to start at tier 1 at the start of every season. So maybe, yeah. Okay, because it's not the same as Blades where the tiers are hard. Maybe. I'm gonna double check later.
Well, there's only like they aren't multiple levels of hold. There isn't. Yeah. We also have like a lot of downtime actions. I feel like you would get there very quickly.
Yeah, same. So I'm wondering if I'm getting something wrong, but I'll double check. The Google group is super useful. I'm gonna shoot a question and ask. But yeah. I also didn't know Google Groups still existed until I signed up for the playtest. But okay, so we still have, so you've had your 2 downtime actions. We'll roll back to either Isolde or Rowan. Rowan has 3 downtime actions even, actually. So.
I can do mine, because I think it's going to be another Investigate the Darkness roll. Let's just
sure.
see how this goes.
Let's go. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Who would you like to investigate? There are your parents. There's your mom.
Yeah. I'm going to investigate my mom.
Yeah. Okay, so your mom is a CEO. Right. How are you going to investigate her?
I think that, I don't know if my mom knows that this is so complicated that my grandmother might be older me.
I think your mom is like, I have an answer for you. Let me know how you feel about it. I think your mom is so awful a person that she hasn't even seen your grandma this whole time. So she knows that she's there. She knows that she's running the shop, but she's never come by. She's never seen her. And your older self was counting on that and knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. So I think that maybe my older self like sends me on this like information gathering mission, and it's like under the guise of delivering like drinks to the office for some of the other people. Then if I like randomly run into my mother, then totally not on purpose. So like I'll probably just go to the office with like my little tray of drinks and pastries and like try to maybe just like hang around awkwardly under the guise of, yeah, I'm the daughter of the CEO. I can totally just be here and listen. And I don't know, maybe depending on how well I roll, maybe actually talk to my mom.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good
idea. I
idea.
don't know. Like,
yeah, I get it. I feel like, is this a conceal role because you're trying to hide, or do you still feel like it falls under analyze for searching for information?
I think it's more analyze than trying to hide.
Got it.
I think, because I'm going to be like trying to listen, and I'm not really trying to hide myself as much, maybe. Okay, so I'll roll 1 dice.
Yeah, let's see. How many do you have for perceive? Analyze, sorry.
1.
Yeah. So roll the 1 die.
Right. Okay, that's a 5, and the time changed, so still 5.
Nice. Okay, so 5 is you get 1 question and 1 follow-up, and the follow-up doesn't have to be from the list. The follow-up can be any question as long as it's related to what you found out. So choose any question you like from your gather information tab.
I will ask, what is already in motion here? Like, do I get a sense that the office is working on some project, or can I see over their shoulders and maybe it's like an open office?
Yeah, absolutely. As you go around, so you are at the PR firm, so you're at the PR firm. You're handing out the milk teas. The adults are too busy to really look at you. They call you by a different name. Even though you've been coming there all the time, they can never remember your name. And you see this, what do they call those? Like those standees, like of a person. What do they call those?
Cardboard cutouts.
Yeah. So you see a cardboard cutout of your history teacher.
Ooh, that's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, and you see there's a press kit about his new book that's coming out, and as you sneak around trying to get information, you see your mom talking on the phone. And so just to make things weirder, she's using a landline even though everyone has cell phones. It's one of those anachronistic anime things. So she's sitting at her desk, she has the phone, and you hear her saying, let me double check. Yeah, Mr. Graves. You hear her saying, now, Mr. Graves, no cold feet. Remember, the sacrifice will be worth it. I'm going to hold up my end of the bargain, so you should as well. And so you know that your mom has some plans in motion of like glorifying Mr. Graves, like trying to change how the world perceives him, how the city perceives him. That's definitely what she has in motion. What's your follow-up question?
I think my follow-up question will be, I guess, I don't know if this is a good enough follow-up question, but like, does it feel malicious? Like, I'm not sure that my mom is part of the conspiracy yet, but like, I know that she's a big important part of like this firm, and like, do I get the sense that whatever she and Mr. Graves are up to is part of like Rowan's fate?
Right.
I'm just gonna go with that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I will say that as she's talking, she says, yes, I got the file. And she opens this folder on the desk. Once again, anachronistic. She opens up the folder, and you can see that there's a picture of you and Rowan together. Let's make it extra painful. It's you, Rowan, and your friend who you lost. But it's you can tell the camera's like slightly cropping out the two of you, and it's really focused on Rowan. And your mother says, "Are you sure about her? Are you sure she is who we're looking for?"
Ah, okay. I don't like this. But yeah.
No, just to be clear, meta-wise, it kind of depends what happens in the dream, right? It depends on the roles of the story. If we really find out if someone is super part of the conspiracy, just to make it clear, right? Just to put the meta speak out there. But it's my job to make it as suspicious as possible. So we'll see if people are complicit or if they're actively a part of the conspiracy. Okay, so that's your second downtime action, right? Okay, we still have, did I get lost? We have two. Rowan has one so far, is that right?
I've had two, but I have an extra one. So
okay,
yeah.
There we go. Yeah. What would you like to do with it?
So
that's right, you investigated, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have an idea for another investigation scene, but I'd also potentially be interested in doing sharing an intimate moment with Iha. I don't have like a strong idea in mind for it, but if you have an idea for something, Jesse, then I'd be happy to kind of play into that.
I don't have a good sense yet, I feel like, of who Rowan is, of what our relationship looks like.
Yeah.
Like even I'm like thinking about that, like that the promise I gave you, and even that's about who I am. That's not really about who you are at all. So I'm also having a hard time sort of coming up with like a
maybe oh sorry, go ahead.
No, I would. Yeah, I was just going to say.
Just like if you have a good investigation idea, you should probably go with that.
Yeah,
but...
I was thinking maybe just do a quick investigation scene, and then we
Mhm.
can get into the.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Cool.
You can do the same one if you like, by the way, if you want to look into Mr. Graves again, or you can do our other two.
Yeah, so I think it will be probably again pursuing the Mr. Graves line of inquiry, but this I think the scene will be quite. I think Rowan's come home from the tea shop, and I think she's got like a bubble tea in like a takeaway cup, and probably some pastries as well. And when she gets back home, she's going to like knock on her brother's, the door to her brother's room, and say, "Hey, Ash, I bought you I bought you a drink."
You don't hear a response, but so we're going into Serial Experiments Lane territory. So you don't hear a response, but you notice that the door is slightly ajar, and the music is kind of like, if we're watching the anime, the music now is kind of strange and synth wavy. Oh yeah, go ahead. Do you have an idea?
Yeah, no, cool. And I will sort of push the door open. It's like I have knock now, so I will push the door open and walk in.
And you see your brother is sitting on the bed. His back is against the wall, and he has this like, it sort of looks like a VR set, but you can sort of like, it's opaque on the sides, but you can see through from the outside. You can see into his eyes, even if he can't see you. You can tell that he's looking at something. You can almost see bits of it reflected in his eyes, and he can't hear you. Like, he's smiling and he's laughing to himself, and you've never seen him this happy before.
Yeah. I think I'm going to kind of wave at him to see if he's actually like can see me at all, sort of thing, through these things, and see if he gives any sort of response.
As you do so, it's really like as if you're not in the same world. Like, he's somewhere else completely. Like, he giggles to himself a little bit, this really strange sound that comes out of his throat strangely.
So yeah, I will put down the drink somewhere safe first, and then walk up to him and like gently like put my hand on his shoulder.
As you do so, he sort of like overreacts. Like the touch is like so shocking to him, and he rips off the set, and once again, like, he's so angry. Like, you realize each time he just gets angry and angry, but this one's really out of proportion. Like, he's swearing at you, he's saying horrible things, and he's just screaming at you to get out of his room.
What's the matter, Ash? I just came in here to bring you a drink. Are you okay? What's the matter?
He looks at you and he's like, you know what? Mr. Graves was right about you.
What did he say about me then?
That you're holding me back. That my whole family, all of you, you're just holding me back. And I could be doing so much better if I didn't have people like you.
That's a really cruel thing of him to say, and I think you should be careful around him. I don't know that. I don't know. He's weird.
He's weird, but you're the one who's just a loser. And as he says it, you can hear another voice saying the exact same thing coming from the set. Like, it's another person's voice. And you realize he's not, like, his eyes are still kind of glazed over, and you realize someone else is speaking through him.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that is going to freak Rowan out, understandably. And I'll say, where did you get this thing anyway?
I got it because I'm special. I got it because Mr. Graves saw how special I am. I'm helping him test something amazing, and you can't be a part of it because you're not special. And the voice is just there saying the. But at this point, the voice is trying to make him say other things, and you can sense he's trying to push back against it.
Cool. Awesome. I'm just wondering what I want to. So yeah, I think I'm going to say this isn't you, Ash. Whatever you're, I know things are hard sometimes, and it's hard on all of us, but you shouldn't be trying to look. I don't know what's going on with you now. I think you need to stop this, and we can maybe talk later. But I'll always be your sister, and I'll always be here for you. Okay?
And I feel like this could be an empathize or forgive role. Like, how do you feel?
Yeah, I think.
And depending on how it goes, you get the information with the question.
I think it might be forgive. Actually, I think it's feeling a bit more forgive than empathize at the minute. So I'll go for that. So that's 1 dice again. That's a 4.
Ooh, okay, a 4 is good. So a 4 is 1 question and 1 follow-up. So which question would you like to ask from your gathered information?
I think it's going to be, what are your unmet needs?
Ooh, that's a good one. And so as you say, I'm just going to check in on you later. Like, you notice that he's still angry at you. Like, his face is distorted in that anger, but he's crying. Like, the tears just start coming out. And there's a disconnect between the tears and his face. But as you talk to him, he breaks down and he turns around his neck, and you see that there are plugs at the back of his neck, and he rips out the VR headset from it, and he flings it across the room, and he just breaks down crying. Like, he tries to reach out towards you, and you see that he's so full of shame from what he said, and he just crumples down, and he says, I just need to be seen. No one believes in me. Everyone believes in you. I want someone to believe in me.
Yeah, and I think I will sit down on the bed next to him, put my arm around him, and say, don't be silly, Ash. We all love you, and you'll do great things. I know you will. But just be careful about who you let. I don't know, just just be careful of where you look for people to appreciate you. Some people are just want to use you.
And he nods and he says, like Mr. Graves.
Maybe. I think he's. I don't know what's up with him, but that he's. I don't think he's proud of what he's doing.
And at this point, he stops, and he looks down at his hands and he says, I keep dreaming about it. I keep dreaming of you with a crown that's falling apart. I keep dreaming of you with a scepter and telling all of us what to do. I keep dreaming of you just killing all of us, he says quietly to himself.
I know things can be strange, but sometimes dreams are just dreams and nothing more. There's nothing you need to be scared of.
And he nods, he's listening to you, but you can tell like he's so harrowed by what he's seen.
Mm. I guess my follow-up question will sort of be what can I do to try and mend that fear, or yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So he falls asleep, and it's almost instantaneous. Like he's nodding, he's listening to you, and then he just starts dozing off. He curls up on the bed. I assume you like throw a blanket over him.
Yeah.
And when you look around, you look at the VR set. Do you want to put it on, or do you just want to look through without putting it on your head?
I will probably. I think I will actually, put it on my head and have a look through it. Obviously, like, I figured, I obviously don't have the little plugs at the back of my neck to sort of stick it into, but I will kind of put it down so I can see through the lenses.
Yeah. So as you put it on, you hear Mr. Graves's voice coming through, but it sounds like he's repeating something, like he's reading it from a script. It's like one of those like cheap YouTube videos of meditations, like, so close your eyes, come to center, walk down this path, there are doors in front of you. Like it's that kind of, but it keeps like, because he threw it, it keeps like skipping, it keeps going back and forth. It's somewhat broken. And you hear his voice saying, "That's right. You have every right to be afraid. You have every right to feel your fear. Give in to the fear. The fear will help you. The fear will mold you and make you stronger." And so my partner is like, "What?" Anyway, so you know that what you can do for him, and you realize like the way that he's been talking all this time, it's really like coming from a place of fear, right? And he's just acting out because of it. If he can make him feel safer, then it will help with everything. And then as that realization dawns in you, you start to see images of the dream that he was talking about.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that might be the point where I kind of get the Dreamwalker group chat up on my phone and send Iha and Isolde a message saying that I think we might need to meet up.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will we'll take like a short 5-minute break before we go into it, but we have an option. You can dive into any of the dreams of the people you investigated in. So that includes Mr. Graves, your brother, Ash, or the mom, Isolde's mom. So, or even our demon accountant person. So I'll leave it up to you to decide, to think about it. But let's take a 5-minute break first, and then we'll jump right into it. All right. See you guys in 5 minutes. Yeah, I just saw in the chat. Yeah, we can, no worries. We can increase the effect.
But we could just do it next time. I
Yeah.
forgot that it existed.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to double check on the wording, because usually there's no effect on, gosh, I'm like trying to think, because you can also gather information in the middle of a mission. So I wonder if this applies to in the mission or at the downtime. So
I wasn't sure, because it says like during a gather information roll, and then the investigate the darknesses treat this as a gather info.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
I was like,
I'm gonna write this down for feedback also. Yeah, but that's why playtests are good. So that's a good question. But I don't mind doing that, because it was related to your fated person, wasn't it? So yeah, I don't mind activating and giving you exclamation, no problem.
Okay.
So we'll just say like when you leave, I think it's gonna be slightly more disturbing. When you get back home, you find that your mother has a drawer in the library that's just full of pictures of Rowan, just like lots and lots of pictures. And at the back, there are like dates and times for where she went, who she saw. Like, there's all this like horribly personal information. And then there's one picture of you. And at the back, it says possible vulnerability.
Oh my gosh. That's wonderful. I mean, terrible.
But there you go. I know I'm pushing a little hard emotionally, so let me know if we need to script change anything, right? So, okay, just checking in. Okay, so now we're gonna get to the exciting point. Yeah, you know, like my problem with Forge in the Dark, it's not really a problem, but I notice the downtime actions always take so long, even though I enjoy them. I really do enjoy them. So, and I feel like these are more enjoyable than base vanilla Blades. But yeah, it's something to think about.
Yeah. One framing that I found helpful, because I used to feel like that a lot, and also like the transition to score. I saw someone on Reddit say this, and my mind is very rarely opened by Reddit. But this I thought was like a really like good insight into Blades, at least, and I think a lot of the other games, maybe less Band of Blades, but like it's a mistake to create such like hard lines between, not a mistake, but like if you're feeling this way, right? A way to think about it is that there isn't really that downtime. There isn't really that much of a difference between the different phases. Like at the end of the day, it's all kind of free play. Right? The difference between and you definitely shouldn't think of the score as like the meat, right? Like free play and the score are the same, right? Just the engagement roles just helps you skip boring planning stuff, but like otherwise there's not really a difference. And like downtime also, like you're doing stuff sort of free play-ish, and then you have these extra things you can do. But it like to think to like if you by creating the sort of like hard lines, it makes transitioning really hard. But if you're just kind of playing and then like, oh, we can do these things now. Oh, it sounds like maybe we're starting to plan something. Maybe we should just make an engagement roll. I don't know. I found that when I was like first, like I don't know, other people I've talked to are like, no. The hard lines really, really matter, and like it's really helpful to. So I think it depends on who you are and what you're into. But for me, that was something that was like very helpful.
Yeah, definitely. And like,
I don't know what works for you.
yeah. And I get weirded out when people try to like be super adamant about what Forge in the Dark is, because even in the original book, it was very much like, just take what you like and just shift what you like. Like, so I definitely agree. Yeah. Instead of thinking that the mission or the heist is like the main thing, all of it is important, right?
And I think definitely well, I don't know if in this game or very specifically in this playset, it does feel like actually the like downtime side of it is actually probably the bit that is going to be more the focus. And then when you get to the mission, it probably is just going to be like, you know, if you roll well, probably just a couple of actions and that's it, sort of thing, to like do what you're there to do.
Yeah, totally, totally. Yeah, because like time, you can one roll can hit so many actions. So yeah, Mhm. That's a good point. Yeah, so I appreciate like all that input. I'm really enjoying it so far. But yeah,
Yeah, that downtime was a ton of fun.
yeah.
That's the other thing. Like, it's just a good time. So
I love how it's all coming together. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot of drama. It's so good. It's so good. Okay, so do we have ideas on? Okay, let me double check. Do we have any ideas on which dream we would like to dive into?
Since I was thinking Mr. Graves maybe because like both Rowan and I had like investigations that sort of suggested that he was important.
Yeah, I'd be up for that.
Okay, and then so I agree. Out of those two, which do we want to? Um, I also have a terrible idea I can offer in which you find out that their dreams have merged. Like both Ash's and Mr. Graves' dream have like merged into one. And then you can jump into that. But you know, if that's too horrible, we can just split it up again. That's fine.
That sounds perfect to me. But yeah, you know, depending on what other people think, but I really like that idea.
Oh, sorry. I think you're muted, Jesse.
thought I unmuted. Yeah, I think that's amazing, and gives us like also kind of like a concrete goal to work towards in the dream.
Yeah, to separate it again, right? So, but yeah, so I think like you suspect that VR set did something to do that in a way, and it has horrible implications considering what Isolde's mom has planned for Mr. Graves. So, but yeah, so we're going to dive into that shared dream. I'm going to look at the engagement questions as soon as I remember where I put them. Okay, let's see. Our mission, explore suspect's dream, right. Confront conspirators, right. Where is the engagement role? I'll double check. Probably conspiracy. Okay.
I think it's on page 24 in the book if you're scrolling.
Yeah, okay, so it means there's just one. Yeah, okay, cool. Let me double check 24. Oops. Okay. All right. In my mind, I thought there would be like one, there'd be specific ones, but this makes more sense. So, yeah, okay. So we're gonna start with, like I said, normally if we were doing the full rules, there would be like, this conspiracy would screw us over so much, but it's fine. We're just gonna stick to basic rules. So the engagement rule lets us cut straight to the action, the heart of whatever is interesting about a given mission. This one rule will let us know how things are going and elides all the tedious setup, planning, and lead-in. So here are our factors. Is this mission particularly heroic or noble? So, oh wait, do we have to choose an approach, or is that not? Oh my gosh. Okay, we don't need to choose an approach. Just checking. That's right.
So this
okay.
really is different.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, I feel myself tripping up a bit. I like it, right? Because you just go straight into it. Like, that's fine. Okay, so is it particularly heroic or noble? And our mission is, do we want to say the mission is to split the dreams or to rescue Ash from whatever is happening to him? Like, what do we feel the mission is?
Yeah, I feel like splitting the dream is probably the focus of this. I think, yeah. If everyone else agrees, but yeah.
Yeah, and at the same time, for sure, that means the conspirators are involved. Okay, so I feel like it's heroic then. So we will take one die. The next one is the mission following through in details from the crew's investigation? I feel that's definitely true. So that's another die. In fact, it's from 3 of the actions. So yeah, definitely. Does this mission determine the fate of a friend? Do we feel like it can be any friend? It doesn't have to be a protagonist. So I think number one, it depends on how we define Ash, but it also, do we feel like this would affect Rowan?
Yeah, I think that I mean, obviously, I think that Rowan certainly considers, certainly considers Ash a friend in the context of that question. It's obviously a slightly different relationship, but and yeah, I think it is probably concerning like her specifically as well. So yeah.
Yeah. And so like there's also go ahead. Or were you gonna say something? Sorry.
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah. So it also says here, does this connect to your mundane life? Which I know it does. So like, but I feel like if it's friend, isn't that usually like a mundane thing? So it's either +1 or -1. I feel like maybe it's just gonna cancel each other out.
Yeah.
How do we feel about that? Is that okay? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, no, that does.
That makes sense.
That does make sense. Although actually, I think we get, because of our scene thing, I think we get +2 for the does it concern a friend's fate from moment of crisis. So
okay, so we'll go with a +1 then, like, because we're thinking about the series thing. Sorry.
Although sorry, keep going back on this, but I think though maybe
two dice. Sorry.
Yeah, I think maybe for the first one, in the darkness question for that was, does the mission's goal or methods reflect the darkness inside our characters? Which I think this dream might actually, because we've kind of got that imagery of Minerva in it, so we might kind of lose that dice back out again, I think.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, this is tricky, right? So we're gonna cancel each other out, is that right? Yeah? Or do we keep one die from the +2 from your series ability? Like the math. It's only a small number, but I feel like I'm back in high school with a word problem.
So for the first question, is it noble? Yes, but it does reflect darkness. No, so that's 0.
Yeah.
Is it? And then the second one was yes, so that's 1. And then,
and then for the third one, I think it's a net +1 because we get a -1 but a +2, so I think it's +2 in total, so 3 dice in total, I think, if my
So we get so the 1 die survives, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. And then the last question, no, sorry, it's not the last one. The next one is, does the mission tier exceed the current tier of the investigation track? Technically, you're still at tier 0. Or did you go up? Did you XP up to tier 1? I'm just going to ignore that question for now because I didn't get to finish the tier thing. I will look into it next time for sure. And the next question is, are there any other elements that you want to consider due to circumstances or events in your world? You only have 3 dice, so I'm going to be okay and say we can keep the 3 dice. Yeah, I think it's okay because I'm looking at how the investigation went. It went pretty well, I think. So I think we deserve the 3 dice. So who would like to roll the 3 dice? We could also say you roll 1 each. But up to you. Who wants to make the roll? My rule is just that I never make the roll. I feel like everyone's like, it's not gonna be me.
I vote Rowan. This is your brother.
I also vote Rowan for the same reason.
Here we go. Okay, so David, go ahead and roll 3 dice, please.
Looks like so I will go for
resist our social pressure with a moon roll.
Nice, nice.
We have those. Oh, that's a 6.
Oh, very good. That is amazing. Okay, so on a 6, good result. You're in a controlled position when the action starts. Things are going as planned, and you are setting the terms. Okay, so I will go ahead and describe what happened beforehand because we're cutting to the action, right? If anyone has any ideas, please feel free to, interrupt me at any time, change it. So basically, I feel what happens is, as Rowan suspected, something is up. Your brother refuses to wake up. And I have a feeling this is not the first time it's happened. Maybe it's not happened every episode, but sometimes when you dive in, it's because the person could be a victim of the conspiracy and they won't wake up from the dream. And so everyone is crowded in this room. You can get away with it because the twins are off somewhere with your mom. And so in Ash's bedroom, you can see as he's lying down, as the three of you, well, I'll go around and ask how you guys connect to the dream, but as he's lying there in front of you, even though all of you are still awake, you can see his face is shifting and changing. It's starting to look more like Mr. Graves's face. It's just swimming over his features, changing it slightly. And under his breath, he just keeps murmuring things. He just keeps saying things like, and she will come with cracked crown and broken scepter, and she will break all of our hearts and feast on what it's inside. Minerva, Queen Minerva, Minerva, Queen Minerva, just over and over again. He's remembering these things. It sounds very like revelations from the Bible, or more specifically, how the Japanese understand revelations from the Bible. I think that's what's happening. So, okay, so how do each of you just very briefly, do you just go around him? Do you hold hands? How do we jump into the dream?
I have a quick question. Does Rowan know the name Minerva?
No, I don't think so. Or yeah, not certainly not consciously, I don't think at the moment.
Very cool, very cool.
So here's my question. Is this like a technological thing or a magic thing or a because again the jumping to paprika in my head, it's a technological thing, right? To go into the dream, you're either asleep and it's your actual dream, or to share the dream they wear this thing. I don't know.
I kind of like the idea of but let me know how everybody feels. I kind of like the idea of a mechanical thing. I kind of like the idea of the friend that you lost was the one who helped create it. It kind of looks like the Inception shenanigans, that suitcase that opens up. But I'm thinking it looks very 90s My Magic Diary kind of situation. Was it called My Magic Diary? That cutesy thing. I can't remember what it's called. But does that make sense, or do we want it to be more magical?
My only thought is that the setting that we've kind of created, even in the real world, is a little bit more magical. But you can also sort of meaning cut it both ways, where there's a device, there's an object, right? And we don't know, does it work with magic? Does it work with technology? What's really happening there?
Yeah, I like it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe a kind of, pendant thing or something like that. I think rather than, because of a feeling, I feel if it's actually a sort of device of some sort, it kind of makes the ability to go into dreams a bit more just mundane and if you can just get a thing that does it, then
then
anyone
everybody could do
sort
it.
of thing.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
But there's something different about the three of you. Yeah, that makes sense. I do like the pendant. We can use like a pendulum situation where like everyone has to focus. Maybe it's super magical girl, you each have one. And then like, so like with the pendulum, I use them for work. I say work, but so you can all use them and they start to sync up and move in the same direction, right? So like at first they're moving in different directions, and after a while they start to go counterclockwise at the same time, and then it goes out in a wider and wider circle, and then we just snap and the three of you are in the dream.
I was sort of imagining, I don't know if I can just throw this out, like it is a thing where like we do hold hands in a circle and we like toss our pendants into the middle, and like there's a magnetic levitation thing where they do
nice.
like they circle each other and spin, so you can.
Yes, let's lean into the magical girl. I like it. Very
It's gotta be spinning.
But maybe talk to me if this makes sense, because how we sort of set up the fiction. Maybe at first I'm not in the dream, right? Like I'm there in the circle watching the pendants, and maybe even I can sort of see what's happening from the pendulums are swinging, and I can see what's happening from your perspective in your pendulum.
Very cool. Very cool.
And I can sort of like, if I need to jump in to help, I can, but also to sort of step back and like be there to like watch your bodies, because you're asleep, right? Your body is vulnerable.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I super like it. Yeah. So, and then so to do the proper cut into mid-mission, so Iha can see all of this from her perspective on the outside. Rowan and Isolde, as you move in, I feel like the reason why Rowan, despite not having an avatar, does well, like we can figure that out later, but I have a feeling like because of Rowan's skill set and who she is, I feel like when Rowan is there, the people tend to stay calmer. Like whoever's dreaming the dream, they tend to stay calmer just because of Rowan's presence. So as the two of you go through it, you can see like you're walking through, it looks like your house at first. You feel like you just woke up in your house. But as you go through, Rowan's house, I mean, but as you open the doors and go through it, you can see like it's shifting, it's changing. You can see that the room is skewed and the stairs are slightly off center. Everything's a little crooked. The lighting here is different. The coloring is different. It's all blues and grays and purples. And you can see that the house is just full of all of these awards and pictures of Rowan. Like Rowan doing good in school for this, which is not true, right? Because we know Rowan is like not the best student. So we don't know why Ash is seeing these things. And you can see like as you go through it, all the pictures where Ash is supposed to be, he's not there. Like he's been cut out of all of the pictures. And as you go in further and further into the dream, you can hear the sound of like scissors, like cutting over and over again. And the hallway lengthens, and we have our shining moment where you see the two twins like standing there in the middle of the hallway, and they're both holding scissors, and they're looking at the two of you. Then they look at each other, smile, giggle, and disappear. You're able to walk through with no problems. And as you get deeper and deeper, the hallway opens up again wide, and at the end of it, you see this throne room. And you see this large throne, but whoever is sitting on the throne is covered in shadow. You can't quite make them out. You can just see a broken scepter that's on the side of the throne. And at the bottom of the throne is someone who looks like Ash, except he's made out of pictures. Like it's just all these cutouts pushed and forced together. And all around him are these large statues of Mr. Graves. But he looks different in this dream. He looks handsome. He looks regal. He looks filled out. Like you know that he's skinny and lanky in the real world, but here he's like a little buff. He's built out. He stands very proud, and he's in different positions. So most of them are pointing at Ash. Some of them are holding up books. Some of them are orating, like speaking out, like as if they're in the middle of a speech. But you're in a control position, so everything seems calm for now, but you don't know who's on that throne. And you just hear Ash, Rowan's brother, just saying over and over again, I can change myself. If I let the fear take me over, if I let the fear cut my heart open, I can change myself. I can become someone better. What do you do?
I think like the figure on the throne is sort of like what Isolde has vaguely remembers from like when she found out that this is Rowan's dark fate, like that dream that she had where it was like this weird shadowy figure, and I think she might think that she needs to run. So I think that maybe I drop Rowan's hand and like run towards the throne just to like get closer to it and like look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to say that as you get closer to the throne, what is it that you fear the most, Isolde?
I fear failing at my mission to stop Rowan from turning into whatever.
As you get closer, you feel the shadow in the throne starts to change, starts to shift. And you hear another voice coming from the darkness. Even though you know Rowan is behind you, you can hear Rowan's voice from the throne. And the voice says, there is no saving me, my love. There is no saving me from what will happen. And she stands up, and in the light, she looks exactly like Rowan, but there's something surreal about her features. And she comes in close and she puts a hand on your cheek, and her lips are coming closer. What do you do?
Take a step back and look around at the real Rowan, and look back at the other Rowan, and just like I think I'm just like backing away, being like, you're not real. You're not the one I came with.
But your mind, you don't know if he can believe that. So I feel like this is a perceive roll. I'm also open to analyze if you feel that makes sense, but I feel like perceive to be able to see through the heart of it, to get past this illusion, because the fear is like overtaking you. When you look back at this Rowan on the throne, you can see that she's just like, she suddenly looks bruised and battered. You can see there's blood coming from her head. And she's like, no matter what, I'll die because of you.
Screaming. Yeah, I'm like sort of torn, but I think it's, oh man, perceive. Okay. Because I was thinking like maybe I was trying to discern a gap in my foe's defenses using analyze.
Sure. I'm also okay with that. Don't worry. Because like these skills are a little flexible, right? So I think it really matters like what you want the end result to be. So that's totally fine with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with analyze. Okay, I don't know, because like it seems like I'm sort of like pushing for the one that I have with Dawkins.
No, that's okay. That's what the system's for. It's fine. Don't feel like yeah, it's totally cool. So that's one. Do you want to so because you rolled well, it's still a control position. Normally this would be pretty bad because you're not transcended yet, but it's still controlled. That being said, the effect is, let me double check. One mundane. Yeah, I feel like it's still a limited effect against magical threats. But that being said, Rowan is right there. They can take stress in order to help you. You can also, I'm looking at your other options. If Rowan has any social links with you, they can spend 1 to give you 1 dice also. You can also mark 2 stress yourself and get an extra die if you like.
Thanks. Are there dark bargains?
Yes, of course. I have the dark bargain for you. This is my favorite part of the game. Coming up with dark bargains. So the bargain I have for you is that no matter what happens on this roll, Rowan will start to suspect your feelings for her because of what this fake Rowan is going to be saying.
Doesn't Rowan already sort of suspect my feelings for her? Since maybe...
Although I guess maybe it's more sort of suspecting like the dual nature rather than, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, that's also good. That's also a good one. Like you can start to see the avatar of Rowan. Does that make sense? Is that what David was suggesting?
Oh no, sorry. I meant more the other way, that maybe Rowan starts to suspect that, because I think, like I said, I think she does already. Well, think that, or
there was like a really awkward confession last season,
right?
But I think that maybe Rowan starts to see what's holding Isolde back, or the fact that like Isolde maybe has a mixture of like suspicion in there as well.
Yeah.
So amused myself halfway through or something like that.
Yeah, I like that idea. Do you want to take the bargain?
Sure. The one where I think Rowan will start to see that whatever happens after this, Rowan will start to see that Isolde has that like fear of Rowan.
Yeah, and I can say like if Iha wants to help, like because they're watching the dream, if they want to whisper through, if that makes sense, you can mark.
Totally makes sense. And I'm looking for excuses to get stressed, so sure.
I wanted to give it to you. So.
Yes. Sure. So, yeah. I think I also want this. I mean, it's still right. This is analysis.
Yeah.
So maybe what I'm doing is I'm feeding you not just what you see. This is going back to Jamie, your suggestion from a while ago about like playing the Oracle role, but right, like I'm feeding you not just like I can see from your perspective and from Rowan's perspective, and so I'm sort of collating those two things together to give you a fuller picture of what's happening.
So like I see like not just the fake Rowan, but like it has like an aura or a shadow of like this is what everyone else is seeing, like overlaid.
Well, I mean, I don't think I can. Oh, I don't know that I can actually like affect what you see, but like I'm telling you, right? Meaning like you. This is sort of like, right? Meaning I if I could affect what you see, you'd know which one was the real Rowan, right? Right. But I can at least give you what Rowan is seeing in a way that sort of like helps narrow down which one is the right one.
Okay.
Very cool. Yeah, so go ahead and mark the stress. I will give you every opportunity to mark stress, so don't worry, Jesse.
It's one or two. It's one or two stress.
Just one. It's 2 if you push yourself. So I'll give you opportunity to do that too. No worries.
So
So you roll with 3 dice.
Yep. I have a 5, a 3, and a 5, so that's a 5.
5 is good. Okay, so 5. And you were specifically using analyze, right? So you were, tell me what you wanted to happen, which does happen, right? And then I'll just say what complication occurs or cost.
I was trying to find a way to like make the illusion stop, or like see if I could like break whatever power, like find that gap in defense where it's like this isn't the real Rowan, and make myself see that or figure out a way to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. So So it starts to, as you look at it, the fake version of Rowan like shifts their head to the side, and starts laughing, and the laugh sounds like a sound you haven't heard for a long time. It sounds like your mother's laugh, and the face starts to shift again, and your mom's face starts to look at you, and you hear your mom saying, "Is that you, Sold, my dear?" So you can resist this complication if you like. But the complication basically is you have a sense that your mother is watching the stream. So if I'm going to be clear about it, your mom is not whoever this thing is, but she is seeing through its eyes.
That seems like a good complication. I will not resist it.
Oh, nice.
Drama.
But yeah, so she looks closely at you, but whatever that thing is, it starts to assert its control over the situation again, and it moves closer towards you, but now this time it's holding your face instead, an older version of you, and says, "How many times have you done this? How many times will you break yourself over and over and over again? We both know she's not worth it. We both know Rowan is never going to be worth it." So just to let you know, it's the second complication. The game does encourage us to go a bit hard, but let me know if it's too hard, right? We can pull back a bit. The second complication is you'll receive, I'm looking at the harm. Yeah, level 2 harm of doubt. Like it's going to translate as doubt. Like if you can really believe that Rowan is worth it. Do you want to resist feeling this doubt and taking this harm?
Sure. Just to see how this resist goes. Like,
Sure. No worries. So basically, we are resisting the consequence of despair and heartbreak, it feels like. So roll with 1 die for, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let me double check. Yeah, 1 die for your moon. And then we will, because normally it's going to be, I'm going to say, yeah, and then we'll just, so instead of you taking the harm, you're going to take that much stress.
all right.
Depending on how much you roll. It's going to be 6 minus
3.
Okay.
So I'll take 3 stress.
Yeah, but you don't take the harm, which is important because
yeah,
harm is kind of hard to heal in the Forge of the Dark system.
Cool.
But there you go. So you're able to resist it. It senses it, right? It can sense you're pushing back, and it says, "Why won't fear take a hold of you? Why are you so sure of yourself?" Like it starts pushing back into the shadow, and it looks at this version of Ash, and it thrusts its hand out, and the pictures that we're making of Ash like split apart for a moment, like as if they're butterflies that are swirling around, and you can hear Ash screaming over and over again. Rowan, yeah, what do you do?
I think Rowan is just going to cry out, "Stop it, leave him alone." And I think that she's going to sort of run over to where Ash is and probably make some kind of futile effort to like gather up the pictures as they're floating around. But yeah, and I think then she's just going to like stare into the void, as it were, and just leave him alone. This, I don't know why you're doing this to him, but just stop it. He doesn't deserve this.
Ooh, it sounds like you're trying to express Do you feel like that's the case?
Yeah, it's probably either express or defy. And I think I'll be nice and say I can probably get away with express on this. Feels a bit more like defy, but yeah, I think she is kind of making a bit.
Oh, Jesse, were you going to say something? Yeah.
Just before the roll, can I transcend and disappear?
Sure, of course you can. Go for it.
And just what does I just say that, right? There's no mechanical thing I have to do to transcend.
Yeah, I'm gonna double check. That is a very good question. Right. I think it's at EC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think that's what I did. I think that's how that works. I think I want to transcend and disappear, so that way, depending on the results of the roll, I can reappear in a way that might be fun or helpful.
Oh yeah.
Or,
For sure. I like it. In order, yeah, you can activate it once per mission. It's that easy. Describe your character's transformation. What do they look like as their true self? Yeah, it's that easy.
Right. So I think I'm like watching. I see what happens to Ash through Isolde and Rowan's eyes, and I like, again, my jaw kind of tightens, and I get this like gritty look on my face, and then it's that same spin from the credits, except for in slow motion. And obviously the background disappears, right? Like, meaning in the animated, right, the room disappears, and I sort of like, the spin happens, the swirling hair and clothes and whatnot, and then I'm gone, and it's just the room, and my pendulum is swinging with the other two.
Nice. Okay, very cool.
And then it cuts back to Rowan.
Yeah. Definitely. And so, Rowan, you're going to go ahead and make that express roll?
I think, actually, looking at it, I think I am going to go with defy. Sure. Defy just feels a bit closer to what I'm doing here.
I like it. Let's go for it.
And I will push myself to, so I'm rolling one die, essentially, for that.
Yeah, would you like a devil's bargain?
Ooh. Yeah, I'll hear a devil's bargain, certainly. And
yeah, so you can feel it. Like, even as you're saying it, there's a part of you where the voice wants to come out harsher, where you want to demand. There's a part of you that's like, your brain, your mind whispers to you and says, they're all beneath you. They're all beneath you. This is your chance to show them. So the bargain I offer you is that a part of you will start to believe in your imperious nature of your avatar just a little bit.
Yeah, I like that. I think I will take that, and I think I will still take the, because I always forget which way around it is. I think you can push for additional effect, can't you?
Yes.
So that's what I'll do it that way around. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, so we get a standard effect instead of limited. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I think and I think as she sort of gives that, I think there's just that moment, and then she just steps forward, takes another step closer to the throne, and says, "You have no power here. We will beat you, and there's nothing you can do to stop us." And that's a 2.
No! Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh gosh. Dang. Okay. So, okay. This is what happens. As you're saying that, as you're speaking out, all the statues around you, the ones in Mr. Graves, they all start to crack. And then they start to shift and pull, and you can see under the surface exactly who your brother described. This woman in a cracked crown with a broken scepter, and all of them are pointing down towards you. Why do you do this? They all talk in one voice, like a chorus around you. Why do you pretend that you are less than you are? Why do you not believe that all of this belongs to you? All of this, you can have her if you want it. And they point at Isolde now. You can take her heart and break it, and you know that you'll like it. And so the first consequence I'm going to say is that Isolde is going to look at you and see that darkness on your face for a moment, and know that you are really tempted by it. But you can resist this consequence if you like.
No, I think that's too good to pass up on. And I think actually rather than darkness, I think it's actually like blazing light, almost just like shines out of her eyes for a moment.
I like it. Very cool. Very cool. And the second consequence I offer you is, let's see. I'm going to say it's level 3 harm. What it is, it's like, I'm trying to say, it's like you being prideful. Like, I'm looking for a word of it, but like, it's so hard to resist this idea that you are better for this, that you don't have to like look after your mom and take care of her, that you don't have to look after the kids, that you don't have to chase around this stuff. Like you are meant to be better and more powerful. So like, I guess maybe it's like hubris. I'm going to label it as hubris. So do you want to take the harm of hubris, or will you resist it?
I will attempt to resist that, yeah.
Okay, so just roll. This feels more like, I can say stars or moon.
I was going to say it's probably stars, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's less despair and heartbreak. It's more stars, which is, but people can help you resist, by the way. So if Isolde and Iha want to help you resist, they can take it instead. They can roll to resist instead, so you don't have to, but they will also have to take the stress. So I will leave that out there if someone wants to do it.
I'm wondering if this is when I appear. I'm just trying to think about fictionally, like how it makes sense for me to, because like it's a very like personal kind of, like I'm not sure how to displace that kind of psychic social pressure or harm from Rowan onto Faustina. But if anyone has ideas,
yeah, I feel like full on tuxedo mask moment again. Like I see you like appearing, and you give the speech of like, no, blah blah blah. Like, you know, you just go full on, like, but your power lies in your friends and da 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 da, like that.
Yeah, there we go. That's the speech. Hold on. That's it, right? That's me trying to crack into the group. That's amazing. I love it. That's so on brand here. Oh yeah. So I appear, and I think I'm like in between you and Isolde also. So like some of that like crackling tension that like was ramped up is a little bit dispersed as you both see me. And I'm talking to you, and it's exactly that speech. It's like, no, right? Hold fast to your friends. Your friends are what make the difference. You know, something about love, something about how how love is what gets us through, you know, almost regardless of where that love comes from, right? Almost like aligning the romantic love that Isolde feels for Rowan and their friendship, like sort of pushing that too.
Yeah, and sort of like responding to, because you were watching the whole thing.
Yeah,
you could say something like, we don't know what the future holds, but we know that love can get us through.
Yeah, exactly. And now I guess I'm rolling stars.
Yeah, so rolling stars.
Oh, this is going to be awesome. I hit the wrong button. That's 3, so I take 3 stress.
That's right.
And I am so. Do I eclipse when I go above my stress track or when I hit my? I think it's when I go one more, right? It's like trauma.
Oh no, it's when you hit like trauma, because like I made
Okay,
the
so yeah,
mistake. Yeah, I
so
made
I
the
have
mistake.
eclipsed.
Yeah, yes. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
I have eclipsed. There will now be lavish displays of mysterious extravagance.
I love it. I love it. So tell me what happens. What does it look like? But by the way, so Rowan doesn't take the harm at all. But tell me what happens next.
Yeah, I mean, so what I think it is that like, I mean, I think first of all, some of it is just that moment, right? Like, what is more mysteriously extravagant than appearing out of nowhere and giving a speech about love and friendship, right? And and I think I think this is maybe too silly, right? But I ended in this kind of like pose, right? Like fist pumped, right? And I mean, maybe what it then does is like I've now got to from that taking on the resistance, right? It then like rolls into I need to hit a click on that transcendence track. I do like a series of flips. I'm trying to I guess the physical space doesn't super matter here because it's a dream, but like I'm trying to think of the way like you sold Rowan, fake Rowan, or is fake Rowan gone? I may have missed that. A lot of things just happened.
Fake Rowan is still there. Fake Rowan is the one like that forced the pictures and to shift and pull apart. So they're still there. Mm-hmm.
Right. There's fake Rowan, and then there's this ash and this cracking throne and this whole thing. And I think what I do is I kind of open my mouth. I do these flips to put myself directly in between the throne and fake Rowan. And I grin, and what you see is like a mouthful of sharp teeth, right? This like toothy kind of like almost shark smile, which wasn't there when I was talking, right? It like appeared it was just a normal human mouth, but like and I think I reach for the cracked scepter, and I reach forward and I want to take it from this clean, or do I reach for the cracked scepter, or do I like try to shove it's like a into the crack in the scepter to try and like sever it or like widen the crack.
I like that a lot. And that feels like defy, or what do you think? Like, what do you think?
Hold on, that's words. I think it's flow. I mean, it's the same number of dice either way. But I think the idea is that it's like that like it's all part of this fluid motion of the flips and the transformation and the right? Like I'm not trying to intercede between anything. I'm like almost like flowing into the crack. Like I like that flavor.
Yeah, I like it too.
You know, like because it's not just like, yes, there's the physical thing, but it's also like the projection of myself into it.
I can also offer you a dark bargain, and if it aligns with your impulse, you won't have to mark the transcendence track.
Well, here's what I'm wondering though. I kind of want that. So when you push yourself when you're eclipsed, the stress goes down, or
you remove 2, instead of like adding
2.
Yeah, so you kind of want to keep pushing yourself or keep taking stress, but you don't want to reach. But if you reach 0, then we lose you completely.
Right. So do I want the dark bargain to not click the transcendence track, or do I want to reduce the stress? I think I'm actually going to push myself, if that's okay. And I can't do both, right?
Yeah.
Or can I do both in this game?
I think, oops. Okay, I think we cannot do both if you're going to use it for an extra die. I think because like what David did earlier was like increase the effect.
Yeah, I mean, I'll totally take that dark bargain. Well, tell me what the dark bargain is, but I'm totally interested in hearing it in order to increase effect.
Yeah, my dark bargain for you. So your impulse is hungry. Your avatar wants to feed
That's
on the
what the teeth.
power that's coming from the scepter, and you will take it upon yourself, but you don't know what that's going to mean
Oh
down the
yeah,
line.
no, yes. I'm taking that dark bargain.
Very cool.
100% yes.
Okay, so it's going to increase your effect, which is pretty good because you're transcended. That means you're at standard effect, but it'll go up to great effect, which you kind of want in this situation, right?
I very much want in this. I don't know what's up with that scepter. This is definitely a big deal. All right, so I roll 1 die. Anyone want to help me?
Oh, but you also pushed yourself, right? So does that mean you get an
That means I
extra
get
die?
1 die instead of 0 dice.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Does anyone want to help? Like mark one stress in order to help, or burn a social link?
Yeah, I can help. I'm trying to figure out how I do it narratively.
Yeah. So we know that your character, you haven't transcended yet, right? So
no, I haven't.
Yeah. I feel
I mean,
like.
you can. The other thing you can do. I mean, you don't.
I don't really know who Faustina is.
Yeah, and you don't like her.
No.
But I think
But I know that she's doing something that I like is good, like destroying the shadow.
Right, and
Maybe,
you were entered. And there was that speech about friends and friendship. Maybe you offer to be. Maybe you offer to be my friend.
Aww.
I'm just like in the middle of this battle.
I mean, not quite. I imagine. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe not exactly that, but like you do something to express a growing kind of friendship, like
like a teamwork thing.
Yeah,
like I see you saying something like you add to that speech. You say, if we can't trust our friends in our darkest times.
Right.
Yeah, something along those lines. Like,
oh, I don't know. Maybe this is, I don't know what if this like will have the effect that I want, but maybe I like bring up our like our friend that was turned into the statue or that we lost before, and like in her memory, like
so good.
Oh, because maybe this is like a backstory thing, but like maybe the whole way like she knew about Faustina and Iha, right? And so whenever Faustina was like sort of brought in those episodes, it was in relationship to her. So like she and Faustina were friends.
I think like
got that sort of.
I think like we might have mentioned that like she was maybe our leader. She was the one that brought us all together.
Yeah, I love it.
So I would just like say something like in her memory.
Yeah.
For friendship, and I will
mark one stress.
Okay.
Or mark one stress, or you can burn the social link. It's up to you.
I'll mark a stress. This eclipsing thing sounds fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. I'm gonna roll. This is my favorite mechanic in the game. I think this is like I love it so much. I'm gonna roll those 2 dice then.
Go ahead. So it is risky. Great.
Yes, that's what you said. Roll selected, and that's a 6.
Nice, very good. Tell me what happens. Go for it.
I mean, you should tell me. I mean, I think you'll tell me what the consequences in terms of like what it means. That I don't understand what's going on with this, but like I think I just like I do the flip and I smile, that big toothy smile, and my hand goes, and I think it like it's almost like my hand sort of like goes, and there's like a flow of power, like this I think it's red. I think it's the red, not the pastel blue, right? But like an aura, like a sort of like red aura lights up over my hand, and I mean my guess is destroying the scepter is not quite what's in the cards, but the crack widens, and maybe creates like a hole all the way through from one side to the other of the side of the handle of the. Well, where's the crack in the scepter? Is it in the handle? Is it in the top part?
The top part.
Right. So I think like the crack widens, and it's like almost like my hand was like a wedge that like grew it. So that's and I think like some of the hold that the like maybe as the crack widens, the crack in ash that's revealing this closes a little bit. Or I mean, you tell me how much it closes based on the effect, based on the great effect, right? But what I'm trying to do is break the queen's hold, this whatever the hold is, Mr. Graves or whatever it is on Ash, to like give Ash more control over himself and his life and his dream.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I'll say with a great effect, Ash, all the pictures fall away, like they just drop at the same time. And it's like that weird dream effect where on the screen we can see the photograph falling, and even though there was no one there before, when the photograph blocks that part of the screen and the photograph falls on the ground, we see Ash standing there. But he is not the teen that you know him to be, Rowan. He looks like he's about 6 years old. And he's saying, "Is it my fault that Daddy's gone?"
Oh.
Is that too much? Is that okay? Like, just checking.
It's heartbreaking. I love it. I shouldn't speak for anybody else. And do I like what does it mean? Because like the devil's bargain, and I'm also like getting power from it. Like I'm curious what that if that has any immediate effect, or if it's like something that's going to show up later.
Yeah. I think we'll see the deeper effects later, but initially what happens is as the power comes in, as Faustina, like because you're Faustina, but you're also still Iha, right? And so you can hear your own voice in your head saying, yes, this is the power that I need. With this power, I will do great and wonderful things. And you find yourself starting to sing the song. Right, so we'll see the longer effects. But so Rowan, you see your brother is there. You see that he is no longer controlled by the dream. The dream is no longer feeding off of his fear. I'm looking at the time. So I'm like thinking, do we want to cliffhang here a bit and then pick it up next time? Or do we feel like 1 or 2 more rolls to finish the mission? Like, how are we feeling about it?
I personally, I feel like we're pretty much there on the mission as is. I don't know that there's much more I feel we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have 1 more roll, because we can see that like essentially, just to make it clear what's happening for the players, even if the characters don't know, is that Mr. Graves has been purposely trying to awaken Minerva by using Ash, right? So, and I feel like Rowan will suspect something is going on. So I think in order to make sure, you just have to get through your brother.
Yeah. And I think that, Rowan is just going to run over to the young Ash. And, she's going to do that sort of thing of like going down on her knees and just hugging him to her. And say, it's not your fault. It's not your fault, Ash. It's never been, it was never about you. And don't blame yourself. You're I'm here for you. I'll take care of you. Don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. And so to get through to him, do you feel like it's express or empathize? Like, what do you think fits more?
I feel probably empathize is more in this circumstance.
Because you're trying to get through to the heart of it. and touch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and touch through the darkness, get to that inner light. Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead and roll. That's one die. I can offer you a bargain.
Oh yeah, I'm always interested in hearing at least.
So the bargain I offer you is that your brother is going to remember parts of the stream at least. So he's going to start suspecting that you didn't transcend or anything, but he's going to remember bits of the stream, and it's going to make him curious about what his sister is up to.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think if it's that he's curious as a result, then yeah, I think I will take it. Yeah, if as long as it doesn't sort of interpose with him getting better, I think I'm cool with taking that.
Yeah. I never offering bargains that limit the effect. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, that's cool. So yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I think having a nosy younger brother around this will make it more fun. So that sounds good.
Would someone like to push themselves in order to help, like burn a social link? Or
I could definitely push myself if your soul doesn't want to.
I was thinking about also pushing myself.
Yeah, so go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just one to push yourself, one stress, or burn the social link.
I want to eclipse now too.
Oh, if you want to eclipse, I can offer you a really good flashback that will take up 3 stress.
Oh. Maybe I'll save the eclipsing for next episode. So.
That's also true.
Yeah, since we're at the end. So I think I'll just take the 1 stress. And I think maybe what Isolde does is just like, now that sort of the tension is gone, just like runs up behind and like I don't know if this is like super pushing myself, but just like puts a hand out to like, it's almost like a group hug, but just like slightly away because they don't want to get into the like the family relationship. But it just kind of like squeezes Rowan's shoulder to like express like the support.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so go ahead and mark that stress, and Rowan, you get to roll with an extra die. So the effect is, I think in this case it's still standard, but it's also risky. So risky standard. We're just gonna we're pushing it up a little bit because you're still in your mundane form.
That's a 3. There is my highest.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, I almost coughed in shock. Oh gosh. I will say, ooh. Oh no. But this will give you a chance to get in harm's way, I think, if you want. So you feel how your words are getting through to your brother, but too late. You notice all the statues are around you, and you hear Mr. Graves's voice come through. But it's so disturbing because the statues look like this Minerva person, whoever she is, and Mr. Graves's voice comes through and says, "I'm not done with him yet. His fear feeds me so well. There's so much we can do with that fear." And you can see like they're about to grab him and they're trying to physically tear him apart in order to like allow that fear to be released again. And you can see it straining. But you can of course resist this consequence.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to throw myself in the way of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, yeah, okay, so I'm like looking at it because it's a 3. You're gonna have to make a choice because you see the statues are going for both your brother and Isolde. You can roll to resist both of them if you like, because they're 2 different consequences, and that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, I will. I will go for my brother first because I do trust. I trust in Isolde's capability to take care of himself. Though I will probably also then get in the way of the one going for Isolde. But like I'll probably wait and see after the roll if I'm still have any stress to take. But
yeah. It
yeah,
feels like
I'm
a
definitely
sun
gonna
resist, which is a good sign. It's not stars, at least.
sure thing. That's another 3, so that is 3 stress, which I think
Almost, but not quite.
doesn't quite put me into my eclipse.
Yeah, you still have one more, which will happen unless you roll a 6, right? So
yeah, in which case, yeah, I think I will just kind of I'll throw myself like between the statue and my brother and sort of push him back. And I think actually I want to kind of do like almost do like a kind of judo throw sort of thing with it, and just kind of then try and barrel into the one that's going for Isolde as well.
yeah.
And
I think at this moment, because this is when the temptation to give into the avatar arises, like as you're moving forward, everyone can see it, like it's flashing back and forth, what Minerva looks like in you, and you can hear that voice saying, we can do it, we can be powerful enough to save her. But I assume you're resisting the avatar for now. And then just roll no more resistance.
That's a 6. So
so good. So good. Wow, like on the brink. So you do not take any stress. Wow, that is so exciting. I feel like that really means at the moment, like you decide to do it in your own power, like you believe in yourself enough to do it without having to succumb to that voice.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I am at that point going to take Hero's Destiny.
Ooh, nice.
I'm not going to go into my transcendent self yet, but I will make that option available now, I think.
Nice. Yeah, so I feel like on that at that moment, exactly the way that I see it, because like you were talking about that light earlier coming from your eyes as you throw yourself in front of Isolde, I feel like this is a moment where no one really knows exactly what happened. Like there's just this light, it's like a supernova going off from your heart, and it starts to fill up the entire room, the entire dream. The light is piercing through, and you can just hear all of these screams, like a choir of screams, and everything just turns to this brightest white. And the only thing we hear is this very soft humming of the song just coming through. Like, and then like we're going to cut back. I think we're going to end on that note for the episode. Is everyone cool with that? Okay. Yeah, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to debrief after I stop the recording. So to everybody who's watching or listening, thank you so much for joining us. I'm so proud of my players. Everyone is super awesome. And we'll see you for the next session. So thank you so much. Bye.